stands out. You know, not just because of your flag and blood, because it stands out. And so you don't just say no contract. You would put inducement to fraud, always inducement to fraud.
Okay.
And then you can put so everybody write that down. We're going to knock this off with this. We're just talking about something over there. And that's important, but that's useful for everybody. This goes for tickets, bills, alleged bills, anything that they send you, anything. That's if you're going to stand up on what is right, or on your right.
You would write that where the signature line is?
So you write that on the document.
The entire document.
And it was like, if you get,
Show
if
them
the
a
documents like this, if the documents like this, you're going to go on a 45-degree angle on that document and make it very legible. Don't scribble. You know, don't like rush and scribble. Read it so it's legible to even a person who has bad eyesight. And then, and keep this in mind, and as soon as they send you another instrument after that, you don't keep arguing with them, go after their bond. Send them an allodial course schedule. In other words, don't keep batting back and forth with them.
I ain't see that.
Once they get that from the very beginning, and you want to do this within this first 72 hours.
No, it's important.
So if you get an instrument, don't let 3 days pass. Just think 3 days, within 3 days, you get it back to them, you copy it, right? Keep it in your files, copy your copy in color, but take that original and give it back to them, because it really ain't even an original. And do not, and always put a physical stamp on it, a physical stamp from the post office. Don't have it any other system or way. We're not talking about whether you send it registered or not. Just make sure you got a physical stamp on it, and then you copy it. In other words, do all your work first. Even copy the envelope before you even mail it. So take your time. You know, you write it out. Copy the envelope. Copy what you're going to send them back. Keep that in your files. Send that back within 72 hours. If they send you something else after that, go after their bond. Send them a allodial course schedule, or get with the commissioner of the city, give them a bill. Clearfield doctrine, they ain't got no business trying to bring you into that private, for-profit corporate entity. And this is why it's very important for everybody to understand that there's no lawful offices operating at North America. The lawful people, but we have the problem, we're all sitting here. Our greatest problem is trying to get these heirs in the right frame of mind. You know, because they really don't understand birthright yet. And what they're doing, they're attacking the people while they're yet still asleep, because they're the heirs to the estate. And we have problems to work out. A lot of them are mental. You know, and so the people are looking for remedy, and the remedy is your claim of your estate. But it has to be in your heart. It has to be, you and it have to become one. And so when they're coming at you, understand that they're interloping. This is another reason why you do not ever call them white people, and don't ever call them Americans, and don't call them officers, and don't call them judges. Every time you give them those titles that have already been removed, they accept your offer on the spot, because that's a trust. Then they start making claims on you. So keep that in mind, all right?
Yes,
All right. We good?
we good.
All right. Of North America and the world. And when you forget this, you've already gotten in the ring being cute with your left hand down, and you're probably gonna get popped. It's true. Keep that in mind.
Welcome to the Love Fest.
This is like the whole population, like she's sending out to everybody. So this covers all of us. I gotta look up what a bill and execute, executive is.
All other insulators come from these. Islam. And when you see that, remember this, when you see any, when you're looking at any one of these, you're looking at this. So when you see this, don't think that you're not looking at this. If you see this, don't think you're not looking at this. If you see this, don't think you're not looking at this. If you see this, don't think you're not looking at this. If you see Rex 84, don't think you're not looking at this. If you're looking at King Alfred, don't think you're not looking at this. If you're looking at the Buck Act, don't think you're not looking at this. If you're looking at Homeland Security, don't think you're not looking at this. All of these are diversions. They're just different titles to aspects of this. And when you forget that, logically you start, the water gets muddy and they can play with you. And when they recognize that you don't know that in your language, they start playing. You know, it's no different than when you get in the ring, like say, Seten. Like say if you're training somebody, right? If you're training somebody to get in the ring, and they can be fast and nice and everything, and you tell them, yeah, that's cool and everything, and then I said, damn man, that kind of hurt. You said, I'm not going to knock you out, but I want you to respect the game, because when you get in the ring, they're going to try to take your head off. It's the same thing. So understand every time when you're dealing with them, they're looking at you as a corpse defeated under this mentally if you're walking, meaning if they haven't taken the body yet. And it's this is even the basis of where they're laying their bodies down all over, like in Ferguson. It's still this. And one of the reasons why they always target young males, basically because they want the organs.
Yes, they do.
So if you let them take the bodies first, they're going to take the organs anyway.
Yes.
And so everybody got to get their head out of this mystery crap and out of this emotional race crap and understand that they're vampires. And they're operating, this is the code where they do the genocide. This is the code for the genocide. And this is the code for also them taking your houses. Where the mortgage for it, all that stuff is in the doctrine of discovery. And then, keep in mind, Article 3 of the Secret Treaty of Verona is where they're deputy knights. And these houses that you think belong to the Lord, that's within 3 blocks in any direction, they're all spy centers. And Article 3 is all of those clergy who really working for the Pope, making you think they're delivering the people to Jesus. And this is where they get their 501c3 skull and bones agreement, where Rome gives them a kickback to keep the BS going on. And so if you caught into that matrix, you're still under this. And so you got to understand what their mission is, what their intent is, and why they're doing what they're doing. And why they're doing what they're doing. So when you're dealing with them, they're operating from this. And if you're sitting around thinking complexions and people are crayons and stuff, they already know you don't know what's going on. You start talking racism, they know you don't know what's going on. And you start talking about whatever versions of God you got, they still know you don't know what you're talking about. Because every one of them is an indication that you're under their matrix. Now that's a fact. Get over it, grow up, and get real. All right, y'all? All right, let me knock this out so Seten can do what he got to do. Y'all got that? Agree with you. You understand?
Yes.
And if you expect them to agree with you, that means you also out to lunch. It's like saying, I don't know why you stealing my bike? And like you're gonna have a discussion with me why you stole my bike. Stop, thief! They down the block like, and they're gonna turn around and bring your bike back. It just don't work like that.
No, it don't.
Stand up for a minute, please.
All right, yeah, the sister's got the power. She's got the
This
force.
is her hand. So a lot of times, a lot of people that make things work around here don't always obviously give credit.
That's right.
But she's always in the background doing a lot of work to make sure these things go down, right?
That's
Give her a
right.
hand. Thank you.
That's right. That's right. That's my sister. That's right.
SetenRa. Brother's been working hard to keep these classes going. And I want them to know that we appreciate them. I want y'all to let them know that you appreciate them.
I don't want to see no tears up here. Not yet.
Sound good, baby?
Yes.
Yeah, no. Islam, how y'all feeling?
Good, great, great.
Before we get started, I'd like to request the permission of my elders to speak.
Permission granted.
I said my elders, now I know
You got
a
it.
couple of y'all got it.
Permission granted.
Stop.
Trying to say.
We got quite a bit of information we're gonna cover today, but before we do, I need y'all to pay close attention. I want to read y'all something. This, what I'm about to read y'all was inspired by a few people that I know. One of them met here. I ain't gonna say who it is. But
First name begins with Taj. First
nah, it's not Taj. I ain't blasting Taj.
first
But
apparition.
yeah, I want y'all. So I'm gonna take y'all back to 6th grade when we used to have to do. I forget what they call it now. It's at the tip of my tongue. You know, when you read something and then everybody got to sit there and go through it, comprehend and decipher what it is that you just read. But I'm gonna read y'all the poem that I wrote yesterday, and we're gonna talk about it. It pertains to what we're going into today. Y'all ready? Tick, tock, tick, tock is the sound I make as I navigate the clock. I am your government. Over you, I have the power. Minute by minute, definitely hour by hour. You rush in attempts to beat me. Your finite mind won't let you resist. Running around like you're crazy, and I don't even exist. Be that as it may, over you, I still rule. I let you believe I was going somewhere. I played you like a fool. But I'm not all bad. I got something for you to do. First, understand that I am real, but I only exist inside of you. Next, learn you, love you, because on you, I can never run out. Learn both sides of the coin and leave nothing left to doubt. Who am I?
self,
North, south.
nationality,
Tick tock on the clock. You watch the clock.
TikTok.
Y'all need me to read it again?
Yeah.
I'm inside of you.
Let's read it one more time.
All right.
Time itself.
Tick, tock, tick, tock. It's the sound I make as I navigate the clock. I am your government. Over you, I have the power. Minute by minute, definitely hour by hour. You rush in attempts to beat me. Your finite mind won't let you resist. Running around like you're crazy, and I don't even exist. Be that as it may, over you I still rule. I let you believe I was going somewhere. I played you for a fool. But I'm not all bad. I got something for you to do. First, understand I'm real, but I only exist inside of you. Next, learn you, love you, because on you, I can never run out. Learn both sides of the coin and leave nothing left to doubt. Who am I?
I gotta go with time.
Time,
Spirit,
time, spirit,
Higher
mind,
self and lower self,
higher self,
cycle
lower self,
time.
thought,
thought,
Islam,
Islam,
racial,
Zodiacal will.
zodiac of will. Anybody care to expound on what they said? Do I need this? I don't think I need the microphone. Yeah, no? Huh? Camera? All right,
Yeah.
all right, all right.
Use it, don't you have the other one?
It wasn't working. The
Yeah, you
microphone
good.
wasn't working. It's all right, I'll hold it. I'm used to them. Like I said, though, anybody care to expound on their answer before I tell you what I wrote about? Islam.
It's not. My answer was the zodiacal will. Zodiacal will is the embodiment of who and what you truly are. And the essence of, it's the essence of you, it's the essence of any and everything in existence.
Desire,
It's the
Desire? Why you say desire?
because that drives people, because most people are driven by desiring things, that brings most of their injuries also.
Anybody else?
Well, it says that it's something that you can't get away from, and you can never get away from yourself.
There's a few phrases that scream time to me. I don't recall them exactly. I'll never run out on you. I'm real. It's just a few statements that time is what stuck out to me.
I wrote about time. I wrote about time. You say control? I wrote about time.
All right.
But the reason I wrote about time is because we always say that, oh man, it's just not enough time. It's not enough time in the day. I ran out of time. I don't have time. I don't have time. But all we got is time. That's it. All we got is time. Time can never run out. When time runs out, you run out.
Your finite mind can't comprehend. Yeah.
Don't hurt yourself, man.
Nah, he trying
You're trying to kill yourself, yo.
I like
Need
that
no
add on to
bodies.
that time situation. Usually, it's a stand example. You don't want to do something within your mind's frame. It seems like it takes forever. If you're enjoying what you're doing, it's a blink of an eye. It's fast. The time doesn't exist. You can see
Calculated
dishes.
time.
You can be like, well, I got these dishes. There's 1,000 dishes in the sink. You start building up all these scenarios in your brain about all these dishes and how long it's going to take to get done. But once you get into the rhythm of doing those dishes, before you know it, that was an illusion and it dispels.
So
I think
before you
that's the
leave,
calculation.
before you walk away, so if you're looking at the dish, at the sink and it's full of dishes,
Mhm.
and you sitting there and you're losing your mind, you say, I got all these dishes, it's gonna take forever. What do you need to do?
Change your frame.
Change your frame of
Paradigm
mind, change your frame of mind, your whole paradigm,
Mhm.
right? So that's why I put in here, learn both sides of the coin, and both sides of the coin. So if one side of the coin is heads, what side would I be talking about? Time. Obviously, one side is time. So if tails is the other side, then what am I talking about? What's the other side of the coin? Who?
No time.
Illusion.
No.
space.
No. No.
The waste of time.
Let's read it. Let's read it.
I think for his analogy though,
I'm gonna read the last couple lines. It says, "But I'm not all bad. I got something for you to do. First, understand that I am real, but I only exist inside of you. Next, learn you, love you, because on you I can never run out. Learn both sides of the coin and leave nothing left to doubt." So if one side of the coin is time, then what's the other side of the coin that you need to learn?
Nationality.
Self.
Yourself, yeah.
If you got a coin and you got heads and tails, if you comprehend what's there, then you need to learn. It says, learn you, love you. Leave nothing, then you leave nothing left to doubt. See, for the majority of us, well, for everybody that's in here in this room, you know that once you start to learn yourself, once you start to understand yourself, and once you are ready to start becoming yourself, then everything changes up here.
Yeah.
So then you say, you know what? I do got time. I'm gonna get done what I can get done in the allotted time that's here. And then when I get some more time to finish it up, I'm gonna finish it up, because time is never gonna run out. I'm gonna always have time. Now, if you need better time management, then manage those little tick-tocks. If you need better time management, manage those tick-tocks. But know that those tick-tocks are these tick-tocks. So that means you need to manage you a little better. It's not the clock. The clock, listen, we can post the clock right there, and it's gonna do what it do. It's gonna continue to, if we need to change the battery, we change the battery, and it's still going to go. But I can go home from work and I can say, hey, I got time.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. It's 8 o'clock. Let me get to work. Well, then that's you that need time management. That ain't got nothing to do with no clock. The clock's gonna do what it do. 6 to 7 is gonna be whatever it is. But it's you. I just wanted to share that with y'all. I put that together yesterday.
Like that.
Just because it kind of coincides with what we're gonna read out of the Circle 7 Holy Quran.
All right.
So everybody have a Quran, or anybody have the handout? Anybody not have the handouts that I gave out today?
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
Taj got it.
Yeah,
Let me see.
Taj got it.
Yeah, that's it. So flip to the first page. Everybody else got a handout or Quran? Yes? All right, cool. I'm gonna read the first page. I didn't print the first page. It says, "Know thyself and know thy Father God Allah." And then we'll go into the first page that y'all had that coincides with what we just read.
That's Taj's
As I'm reading, if anybody hears or sees anything, stop me if you want to talk about it. Y'all know how I am. I like interactive classes. I don't want to sit here and preach and talk all day. I want y'all to talk back to me. And y'all two stop laughing because they're picking up on the camera.
I apologize.
Put y'all in the corner.
Put him in the corner.
Know thyself and thy Father God Allah. The genealogy of Jesus was 18 years of the events, life, works, and teachings in India, Europe, and Africa. These events occurred before he was 30 years of age. These secret lessons are for all those who love Jesus and desire to know about his life, works, and teachings. Dear readers, do not falsely use these lessons. They are for good, peace, and happiness for all those that love Jesus. Dear mothers, teach these lessons to your little ones, that they may learn to love instead of hate. Dear fathers, by these lessons, you can set your house in order, and your children will learn to love instead of hate. How many times y'all seen them pictures of them little, the Klansmen with their little boys? And they got their little boys dressed up in our ancient garb, in our ancient outfits. They just reversed the order of it. They taught their children to hate instead of love. I wonder how many of them grew up hating their parents because of it. The lessons in this pamphlet are not for sale, but for the sake of humanity, as I am a prophet and a servant is worthy of his hire. You can receive this pamphlet at expense. The reason these lessons have not been known is because the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine had these secrets and kept them back from the outside world. And when the time appointed by Allah loosened the keys and freed the secrets, and for the first time in ages, have these secrets been delivered in the hands of Muslims in America. It's a whole lot of secrets under lock and key. We've been uncovering a whole lot of them since 1913. The Prophet gave you a hell of a blueprint, a hell of a plan, and it needed to be executed, but it wasn't. It was put back in the vault. It was put back under lock and key. He established the temple, and the temple had a specific job, a specific duty, and it wasn't getting done. So more started to break out of the temple. More started to break away from the organization, and more started teaching on their own, teaching outside in venues like this. But what's important is although we learn all of the law, we have these civic lessons, we learn about nationality, it's important that we stick to the principles as well.
That's right.
And still understand what was left behind. If you turn to that first page, your page should read page 4. It should say chapter 1, the creation and fall of man. I told y'all a couple weeks ago, I ran from this book for a minute. I ducked and dodged because I opened it up and I said, Jesus. I'm being honest with y'all, I did that. And then as I was doing some other studying and some other research, kept on circle 7. And the circle 7 Holy Quran, the circle 7 Holy Quran. So I went and got it. Dug through my books and pulled it off the shelf and I started reading. And I graffitied in it. I went to work. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna talk to my family and see how they feel about these lessons. All the stuff that's in there. Some stuff I seen. So y'all see, y'all know I tag up everything, highlight it. I might do a little bit of writing in it, but like I said, as I'm reading, if it's anything that you see that I may read over, because everybody's perception is their own, I said that before. You may feel something, or it may touch you in a way that it didn't touch me, or I might not feel whatever it is that you felt. So stop me, and then we'll talk about it. Chapter 1, the creation and fall of man. Time never was when man was not. I read that sentence like 6 times. I just kept reading. I kept reading. And then when I wrote that, I didn't have this on the brain. I just had time on the brain. But then when I wrote that and I thought about it, it made sense. That time never was when man was not. If life of a man at any time began, a time will come when it will end. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. Y'all got on the 3rd page, you got a list of words. On the 3rd page, everybody should have a list of words. I put together that list of words because there's some words in here that I came across that some people may look at and not comprehend. So I put the list of words in there. So when you see circumscribed, when they say the thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed, that means it can't be put in a box. It can't just be closed in and tucked away. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. Did I say circumcised a minute ago?
No.
No.
I thought, forgive me, y'all. I thought I said circumcised. All right, cool. No infinite mind, it says, no finite mind can comprehend things infinite. All finite things are subject to change. All finite things will cease to be because there was a time when they were not. The bodies and the souls of men are finite things, and they will change. Yeah, from the finite point of view, the time will come when they will be no more. But man himself is not the body, nor the soul. He is a spirit and a part of Allah. Anybody need any clarity? Anybody, any confusion in there? In anything I just read, everybody click?
Yes.
Cool. Creative fate gave to man, to spirit man, a soul that he might function on the plane of soul. gave him a body of flesh, that he may function on the plane of things made manifest. Why did creative fate give to spirit man the soul, that he may function on the plane of soul? Why did creative fate give to the soul a body of flesh, that he might function on the plane of things that are made manifest? What is creative fate? Or who is creative fate?
Allah's actions are
Everything
the
that is
creation of
good
man.
and never more.
Allah will be creative fate. Son.
It would be the mathematics of the universe created by the energy planets, or what is called the seven eyes of Allah, which would be the energies emitted from the major ruling spheres in this solar system that chart the energies, i.e. your map or your horoscope.
To continue reading. Hear now, ye cherubim, ye seraphim, ye angels, and ye men. Hear now, O protoplast, and earth, and plant, and beast. Hear now, ye creeping things of earth, ye fish that swim, ye birds that fly. Hear now, ye winds that blow, ye thunders and lightnings of the sky. Hear now, ye spirits of fire, of water, earth, and air. Hear now, O everything that is, or was, or evermore will be. For wisdom speaks from out of the highest plane of spirit life. Man is the thought of Allah. All thoughts of Allah are infinite. They are not measured up by time. For things that are concerned with time begin and end. How many people here grew up in the church?
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't too many of them. I grew up in the church, I won't lie. There's a scripture in the Bible, Ecclesiastes 3. Somebody with a smartphone, pull it up for me, please. Ecclesiastes 3.
I got a Bible.
Pull it up. Give me Ecclesiastes 3. And I just want to make a point too. When you read things in the Bible, understand that just because it's in the Bible, it's not true. But also understand that it's in the Bible because it's true. Y'all got me?
Yeah.
It's not in the Bible. I mean, just because it's in the Bible doesn't make it true. Just because it's in the Bible doesn't make it true. But understand that because it's truth, it's in the Bible.
No, it can't be that because
I already got it.
it can't. Oh.
So I'm talking.
Also, it's another thing that people need to know about the Bible, because they have a tendency to dismiss it, just because the popes of Rome had it transliterated by King James, that the Bible is from the ancient Moabite Empire under Mor-Luak and Il, the last high priest of the Moabite Empire. The key to it is that it must be given its Kabbalistic base so that people can properly comprehend it. But when they take it from the dogmata position set up by the Bishopric of Rome, that is what has created the darkness and the confusion amongst people. So that must be known. Don't pass the book off like it's not yours, because it is yours.
Yes.
I'm going to read this one more time. It says, man is a thought of Allah.
Here it is.
All thoughts of Allah are infinite. They are not measured up by time, for things that are concerned with time begin and end. When I read that, it made me think about this Bible scripture. This was my grandmother's favorite scripture when she was on this plane. And I used to read it all the time. And God knew his wife had transitioned from cancer. So I used this scripture and I wrote a poem for him and his family. But Ecclesiastes 3 says this: a time for everything. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Now, the reason I read that is because I want you to see that whatever doctrine you follow, whatever book you want to read out of, whatever scripture you want to follow, it's going to say the same thing. You just got to be able to decipher what you're reading. You got to be able to look at it and look into the words. You see, most of the times when I read, it's almost like I form, like I'm part of the page. And then I'm on the page, and as I'm reading, I'm just walking along the lines.
There's a thing there that in the Quran it says, teach children to love and not hate. But then you just read something that says time to hate. I mean, it's not that like paradoxical.
Is it like or like contradictory?
Yeah.
It say a time to love and a time to hate in Ecclesiastes 3, right? So Rick said in the Quran, it says, mothers and fathers teach your children to love instead of hate. Now, if you teach your children to love instead of hate, then they'll grow up with that love in their heart. And they'll put hate on the back burner, right? But as they grow up, and as they experience certain things in life, they're going to come across different people, different situations, and different obstacles. So, whereas I can say, I don't hate anyone, or I don't hate any particular thing, and that my heart is not consumed with hate, I hate the situation that we're in. If that makes sense. I don't hate the Albion for what they did. I don't hate the Albion for coming in here, kicking down the door, and taking our land. I don't hate our ancestors for letting them do it. And I don't hate our ancestors for not getting us out of there sooner. And see, the reason I say that is this, because a lot of people say, I hate these white people. I hate these crackers. I hate these Europeans. I hate these Albions. And the only point that I be trying to make is hate your people just as much, because they're just as guilty.
Exactly.
So I understand the question, and it makes sense. Thank you for the question, but you got to be able to separate the two. Is it malicious hate, or is it just I hate the circumstances that we're in? Go ahead, George.
You want to go for me, Taj?
Yeah, one of the things I want to note, when you study Ecclesiastics, what it's really telling you of is the higher self and the lower self. And you're supposed to appeal to the common senses to make the distinction. And then whereas it's telling you that man is spirit, not the flesh, is letting you know the duality. This is why it's important for the people to learn the Kabbalistic basis of the books, so that the contradictions don't become confusing when it's actually telling you of the higher lower self and the lower self, and training you to morally and ethically observe them and make a choice, or what you call the high light and the low light, or what you call the upper world and lower world, or higher self and lower self. That's why in the Quran it tells you in the basic lessons that is needed with the people of the North is a knowledge of the higher self. They need to learn to love instead of hate, and know of their higher self and lower self. Now with that, he's saying they must know the Kabbalistic lessons in order to really make that comprehension. And so it's not so much a contradiction as it is to get you to step off and observe yourself.
Go ahead, George.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't want to get into little science. You know, I'll be spilling some beans, but it was taught that at one time that hate, that we as a people, as a person, should hate every bad action that is done. We should despise it, we should hate it. Action that is done wrong to someone or anyone.
That's the hate part. You know, that you dislike, you know what I mean, the action that's being done. It's like what would happen in Ferguson or whatever. You know what I mean? You know, a lot of people is hating with the action that happened. You know, the man put up his hands, like you said before, right? He surrendered, and he got shot down with no weapon. They hated that action. It was a hate action thing. You know, and everybody should hate that bad action.
Let me ask you this. All right, so I hate the action from Ferguson, right?
Right.
What's next?
Well,
If I follow what was told to me that I should hate every bad action, okay, so now I hate the action. What's next?
well, that's another story.
No, same story.
No, well, that's another part to it. You know.
But another part of the same story. So what I'm asking you, I mean, now if you don't know, then don't listen.
No, what I'm saying is that, like they said, silence. You know what I mean? It's almost saying that you almost agree to it.
No, silence is saying you agree.
It's consent.
consent.
It's
They were
consent.
talking about consent. So we all, as collectively, should try to do something about it. You know, as much as we can.
That's my point. That's what I was getting at. So if you hate every bad action, if you like now me myself, just a few minutes ago, I said I hate the situation we're in. So therefore, I go through all of this paperwork and stuff like that, and I stand here. So I'm not opposed to what you're saying, hate every bad action. Just if you hate every bad action, what's going to be your reaction? That's all I'm saying. Go ahead, Dave.
All right, I've been finding that I can't read because, like, when I've gone into the book, all right, I think I know what hate is or what economics is and what want is, and I'm thinking I'm reading these words, but these words are connotative because, like, I'm looking up the etymology of the word hate. Okay, now it says the etymology of the word hate is sorrow, grief, calamity. And that doesn't necessarily, that's not necessarily, I'm just saying that I'm not reading, I'm giving it a connotative definition, you know, hate, because I've been taught the language, the culture that this the culture is in the language, okay? So if I'm learning this language, hate, connotatively, then I ain't gonna get the real meaning of this anyway, so I need to go back and honor my mothers and fathers, the things that they gave me in the first place, so I can know how to read. I can't read. If I skip over that small word, I'm assuming that I know, but I don't know. And like I say, to go back into the etymology of the word is sorrow, calamity, and grief. So, and then, like I said, I read another passage in there. It says, the want of good is evil. And I said, what does that mean? You know, in one of the later passages. And I said, want? You want the lack of want, I mean, the want of evil, the want of good is evil. That's what it says. The want of good is evil. And I said, well, that doesn't make sense to me. So then I looked up want. Then I looked up the want. Want, it means lack. So the phrase makes sense to me. The lack of good is evil. So you got to go back to like Taj was saying, before. If you don't understand the word before, if you don't understand these simple words that you think you know, you ain't reading it, and you're not getting it's not going to your soul. Okay, that's how I feel about it. Right?
Can I interject just to help with that? That's part of the Kabbalistic responsibility, because the Kabbalistic responsibility is these two things when you're going into the Bible. And this, all priests are told this, which means, so if you're talking to a rabbi, an imam, a reverend, know this, irregardless of what they tell you on the surface, all of them are Gnostics. And all of them are told when they get their degrees, in order to study the Bible, the Pentateuch, the Hexateuch, Uaspi, any of the scripts, that they first must be trained in the Kabbalistic alphabet, what they would wrongly for the masses call the Jewish alphabet, which it is not. It's the Kabbalistic alphabet, and if you don't have that foundation, your concepts of this book will be absolutely incorrect. All of the teachings of Musa, Zachary, Yeshua, all of them absolutely are totally Kabbalistic. And if you approach the book without dealing with the root or the mother of the word, etc., which is part of the instruction already, this is the basis of the confusion. And that is identifying, that's why people must understand the mission of the bishopric when they had King James to alter the book out of its original culture. Because when they altered it out of the original culture, the mission was to take the Kabbalistic base out of the book in order to create the very confusion that is existing now, that has caused all of this sectalism that has caused man at each other's throat. By design. That is that is what is called the connotative linguistics set forth by the Bishopric of Rome under the Spanish Inquisition to put the world in darkness. And they set up the secret societies of the study of mother and son, etc., for those who they consider the high priest or the elite to know the truth themselves, but preserve it from the masses, and then to make food out of the masses who by their ignorance would start destroying each other. That is the truth. Researchable, factual.
I was gonna say in regard to what Sister Delilah said about want. Something that you just said, silence is agreement? Or
Consent.
Silence is consent. So with that in mind, the statement from the Circle 7, the one of good is evil. The want, knowing, without doing the etymology on it, want on what I know of it meaning now, is a lack of action. So I'm sitting here wanting good, which is the same thing as silence is doing nothing. You know, you're sitting there wanting without having any action. It's almost like you're agreeing with the evil. So you have to have action to pursue good, to be in agreement with good. But that's just how I read the statement.
Yeah, see, that's one thing I like about class. That's why I like interactive classes. That's why I like y'all to talk back. Because you, her, him, and me just said the same thing. You know what I'm saying? When he said, hate every bad action. And I said, all right, cool, I understand, but what we gonna do? And then she said, the want of good is evil, the lack of good is evil. And here you are saying, without actually doing any good, don't complain about the evil.
Right.
So silence is acquiescence, silence is consent. So are we all saying the same thing? Just your perception is yours. His perception is his, hers is hers, and mine is mine.
But where is truth, though?
Where is truth? In each one of our hearts.
Having action towards good.
The truth is in each one of our hearts. It's up to us to bring out that truth. Once we start to bring out that truth, see, the problem with truth is going to be acceptance, and then it's going to be responsibility. Because if you accept the truth, then now you got to do something about what's wrong. And people don't want to be responsible for what's wrong. They rather say, and walk off.
I have a question, and that was pertaining to King James version of that Bible, and what Taj was just talking about. My question is, what is the demonic version of the Bible that he put out at the same time of that, King James?
Or that demonology or something like that?
First, back to the Kabbalistic basis. Daemon only means God of the lesser light. It doesn't mean what the masses
Yeah,
mean.
I'm aware of that.
The other thing, so that people don't get spooked up about the book, this is the other thing that all high priests learn, all of them. So don't get confused because they sit there in the mosque or the synagogue or the church. All of them, one of the most protected secrets amongst the entire priesthood is that the devil is a myth.
Says that right? Let's keep reading. We gotta breeze through this and get to that solstice in a little bit. Man is the thought of Allah. That's where we stop. All thoughts of Allah are infinite. They are not measured up by time, for things that are concerned with time begin and end. The thoughts of Allah are everlasting, of the past until the never-ending days to come. And so is man, the spirit man. But man, like every other thought of Allah, was but a seed that held within itself the potencies of Allah, just as the seed of any plant on earth holds deep within its attributes every part of that special plane. So spirit man, as a seed of Allah, held deep within himself the attributes of every part of God. Now, I'm gonna stop right there. And when I read this poem earlier, did anybody say anything about God or anything about the Creator?
No.
No. Well, I only read this so far. Before class, I read it to 3 people: Naboo, Sabrina, and Mother Atiola. So when I read it to Mother Atiola last night, she was adamant. You're talking about God. Now, the one thing I know about that type of art, when you're writing, I know what I wrote about, and that's what I wrote about. But whatever you read about is what you read about. So I can't say that there's no right or wrong answer, because your perception is yours, mine is mine. Now, right here, it says, every man, like every other thought of Allah, was but a seed that held within itself the potencies of Allah, just as the seed of any plant of earth holds deep within itself the attributes of every part of that special plant. So spirit man, as a seed of Allah, held deep within himself the attributes of every part of God. How many people clear on that? How many people are clear that the God that people are searching for, not us, but the people that we know that are searching for this one particular or one special God to come back and just post up in the clouds and say everything is going to be all right? How many people in there are clear that that God is inside of you?
I'm clear. I'm clear. Clear.
Just talking to the lady.
Admits that in all of us. And the thing is, we have to go within ourselves and say, love ourselves. And put the love, because we're conditioned to hate ourselves.
Right?
So we have to outlove the hate
Right?
that we have been being conditioned. Now, when you get to that point, everything in you is innate. It comes up in you. You may not know, but there's something that gives you that feeling, and you know, and it comes up out of you.
So that's like what Taj was saying, the lower in himself.
Absolutely. So that's why I said here, next, learn you, love you, because on you I can never run out.
Right.
Now, that line right there
That's what that.
could absolutely make somebody think that I'm talking about the Creator,
That's key.
right? Now, I ain't saying that I ain't. But that line right there, learn you and love you. Because like you said, we've been conditioned to hate ourselves. Listen, somebody just told me about some lady had her hair permed up, right? But she had her little daughter's hair was natural. And the little girl said, oh, I gotta wear my hair like this, why yours is all nice and shiny and straight, and why? For whatever reason, the little baby hates her hair, but she loves mommy's hair. She doesn't know that her ancestors' hair was like that. She don't know that it's not really ugly. She don't know that society said it was ugly.
Right.
Mommy didn't say it was ugly, and nobody else told you it was ugly. So mommy didn't have no choice. Mommy cut all her hair off and started off natural with the baby to get rid of that hate that's indoctrinating her and start teaching her to love herself.
Can I interject? Because this is in support of both things. And this is why, again, in emphasizing why it's important to know the Kabbalistic basis. So one, you must know that Allah is woman. That's number one. Number two, the energies that she experiences becomes the seasons or the elements that she makes in the womb to make you. You're looking at the cycle, lets you know yourself because you see the aspects, the conjunctions, the sextiles, etc. You see the strengths and the weaknesses. You don't guess it, you know it. That's what the science is. And by knowing it, then you know yourself, then you see the weak sides, and you see the strengths you polish, and the weaks you build up. The weak points and that action or that building, character building, is really what true religion is. It's not based on just mere feeling, it's based on a knowing. Thus, man, know thyself.
Yes.
And this is also why the high priest won't tell people that the church that the word church is Germanic for the circle, for the very circle they're supposed to use to study themselves.
Yes.
And this is where the lesser light comes in, or like you say, the daemon or the priesthood of the lesser light, because they're actually hiding the truth. There need not be confusion. They need to stop messing with people's heads and tell them the truth, what this stuff means, so that man might know himself. And it's because we don't know ourselves that confusion is what causes the stress and the sickness, and why we don't like ourselves. And because the confusion logically creates dissettlement. And so the high priests feed on that and be calling it evil when actually just simply a lack of knowledge.
My question is more towards Taj. With a lot being of maternal or a woman, does that play into the fact that in the womb we are not men up until a certain point?
That's right.
First question in this questionnaire, 101. Who made you? First question. Allah. Right? Next question. Because he's really giving you the Kabbalistic lessons.
Who is Allah?
Yeah, who is Allah?
The Father of the universe.
Father of the universe. So now when you look at the Kabbalistic basis, father comes from pater, which is actually paternity, which is a process and not a gender. But if you don't know the language, you take it as gender. It is actually the process of creation. And so you already know the elements that your mother brings, you know, and this is why it is used with the crescent moon and Venus, because those are the two major planets that govern the womb of woman, also the economies on the earth, the waters, etc. And so once you understand that and you look at the elements and you know yourself, you learn to love yourself, because now you have understanding. That's why it says get wisdom, get knowledge, but above all get understanding. And it's the lack of the understanding that causes the fears, and the fears causes the darkness. It's a lack of knowing. But I'm only saying that to say the importance of people having a knowledge that the books are Kabbalistic, because if they don't, that's what creates all the confusion.
Right.
And it was once you understand that they're Kabbalistic, and the time is taken to give people a Kabbalistic foundation, they can understand all of the
That's right.
books.
That's
The
right.
confusion is done.
That's right.
And it need not be just mentioned circumstantial, you know, in classes like this, which makes these classes necessary. However, give the people the foundation tools, meaning that we keep giving people formulas without teaching them how to count.
Right.
You know, and this is where it's talking about where Yahshua said he's a carpenter, because he's using the compass and the square to walk around the circle. Because those are the rules. And they're divine rules. They have nothing to do with opinion. They are the divine rules of all creation. And so when you look at that, this is why even how it's broken back down, like if you know language, right? Anything AH is feminine. You know, but the priesthood have created the dogmata of making people look at the duality in nature from a carnal perspective rather than your positive and your negative forces that are in the universe. But yet, at the same time, if they give you the Kabbalistic lessons, you recognize that in the spiritual realm, what we consider in our minds, the way they're telling you now, the masculine and feminine doesn't exist that way. You know, this is why they even tell you, for high priests all know that the first beings here were hermaphrodite. Do you understand? And that all of us came from our mother. Everything is rooted in mother. And they're trying to tell you that again, even with this movie Lucy, because it's the feminine principle. Lucy is actually Lucifer, which is actually the light bearer, not negative. It's actually an enlightenment. You know, so everything the priesthood has made have messed things so bad that it's hard for people to read these books, because they keep looking at them from a connotative perspective that was set forth by the very priesthood that they think is leading them to the light, and they're the real vampires. You know, and this is why they have a pull pit. They don't even hide it. It's just that people they believe them. And to give you this story again, this is really the Kabbalistic story of the Nazarene. Whereas if you look at the masses when they're talking about that Bible, right? If they don't know the Kabbalistic basis, first thing they're saying, oh, Jesus came and he was helping everybody, And then the devil came, took all his peanut butter sandwiches and all this sort of stuff, right? And a child can look at the book, and a child will say, the devil didn't do nothing. That was the priesthood that set him up. That was the priesthood that met with the Romans in secret and plotted his death. It was the priesthood that slandered his character. It was the priesthood that was worried about him telling the common people the truth. It was the priesthood that he went to and told them stop lying and doctoring up the law. And who got the blame? The devil. And adults very busy arguing about the devil, and a child could see it's the priesthood. You know, and it's like, and one of the hardest things to do is get people to get out of their blindness that the priest did to them and start seeing them vampires for who they really are. You know, even right when we're, that's an example, because I don't want to burden this, but because you got to bring this into the carnal realm. This is why, like when you're looking at the secret treaty of Verona, you look at the Article 3, and the entire clergy, they're delivering these people to the popes of Rome.
That's right.
And the general masses are under the impression that they're delivering them to Jesus. Do you understand? And yet that's documented. They're pledged to the Pope of Rome. And no different, you can take a child to a dictionary, an ordinary dictionary, and show that the priesthood made that creed up 325 years after they murdered the Nazarene, and that they're worshiping Constantine and his mother, talking about they're worshiping Jesus. We're not even talking about deep research. So I'm only saying that to say this. We've got to look at the Circle 7 Quran as a healing book.
Yes.
But if you're not given a Kabbalistic basis, we'll study for years and years and years and keep going in circles, because we're looking at it with the connotative lens given to us by the priesthood, who we have not suspected is the real vampire. And it's uncomfortable when people get into the real truth, because it will overturn institutions, if you understand. But the institutions are the illusion. That's the false matrix that they put us in. So I'm only saying that so that we can look at this Kabbalistically. And so this is, again, why when you read the Circle 7 Quran, you read it in partnership with the 101s. But look at them Kabbalistically. It'll save you a lot of time, a lot of trouble. And even when you look at the Circle 7, look at the cover. Look at the Circle 7 with your 4 gates. That's the Great Circle, or the 7th seal. So the opening of the 7th seal is you understanding the abstract of those 4 gates where you see the circle broken. That simply represents the abstract. And then where you see the physical lines, that represents the aggregate. Now, if you were looking at it from an aggregate perspective, you would actually put a cross through the abstract, which would represent the aggregate. Now, that would be the Holy Cross. And then when you see the stem of the cross being lowered, that's because you're in the carnal realm, or the focus that's on the carnal realm. And so when you, just like SetenRa was saying earlier, you know, in relationship to how to look at the truth that's in the Bible. You don't look at it as false or even contradictory. It only is contradiction because the people aren't given keys. And so it's like taking somebody and doing like this, and you're giving them actually truths, but just by not telling them that it's Kabbalistic, you know, you've blinded them. And then it creates confusion. And then the priesthood put on their dark robes, you know, and just like little vampires, they're just preying upon the weak. And then, you know, you better put your turtleneck on because they're coming for you. You know, then they even when they do the ritual of the body and the wine, they eat the bodies of the people and then they drink their blood. And the people think it's some kind of holy thing. They're really doing a ritual of what they really do. They do that to babies in reality in secret. And these people go to them for so-called spiritual understanding. They're really, for real, vampires. This is why the world's in darkness, because the people won't render unto Caesar what is Caesar, meaning they won't give that Bieskidorf back and go back to the principles of their ancient mothers and fathers, because if they did, they'd immediately find out that this stuff is Kabbalistic. They wouldn't reject the books, They would reject the priesthood
Yes.
who have tampered with the
Yes.
books.
Yes,
That's the message.
yes.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
Todd's the only person that can talk that long in my class. Everybody else, I cut you through.
Oh, wait.
We gonna read a little more. I definitely want to get into chapter 3, so we can don't switch to it. We're gonna finish up what we started, but so we can get to that higher and lower circle before we move on. So I'm gonna just go ahead and breeze through this and stop me if you need to. Now, seed are perfect. Yea, as perfect as the source from which they came, but they are not unfolded into the life made manifest. The child is as perfect as the mother is. So man, the seed, must be deep planted in soil that he might grow, unfold as does the bud unfold to show the flower. The human seed that came forth from the heart of Allah was foreordained to be the Lord of the plane of soul and the plane of things made manifest. So Allah, the husbandman of everything that is, threw forth his human seed into the soil of soul. It grew apace, and man became a living soul, and he became the Lord of all of the kingdom of soul. Hark! Now, let every creature hear. The plane of soul is but the ether of the spirit plane vibrating not so fast. And in the slower rhythm of this plane, the essence of life are manifest. The perfumes and the odors, the true sensations and all of the love are manifest. And these soul attributes became a body beautiful. A multitude of lessons man must learn upon the plane of soul, and here he tarries many ages until his lessons are all learned. Upon the boundary of the plane of soul, the ether began to vibrate slower still, and then the essence took on a final guard. The perfumes and the odors and the true sensations and all of the love were clothed in flesh, and man was clothed in flesh. Perfected man must pass through all the ways of life, and so a carnal nature was full manifest, a nature that sprang forth from fleshy things. I'll slide back up a little bit where it says a multitude of lessons man must learn upon the plane of soul. And here he tarries many ages until his lessons are learned. What's that mean?
Wisdom comes with experience.
You say that again?
A multitude of lessons man must learn upon the plane of soul. Here he tarries many ages until his lessons are learned.
So you graduate from the plane of soul, you're going to be there.
Until you graduate from the plane of soul, you're going to be there. Anybody else?
Something like that.
We manifested here for a reason.
That's true.
You've had to have lived and experienced things to gain the wisdom, to learn.
Get to the next level.
Because it say here with tarries with many ages until his lessons are learned.
Many ages. Many ages.
Many ages, probably, if we don't get it right, we're gonna have to keep coming back down here.
Thank you. Thank you. If you don't get it right, you'll be back.
Like failing a class.
So,
Where's that?
a lot of said like failing the class. I got an F in biology, I gotta take it again next year. So essentially what it's saying is if you don't get it right this time, you'll be back. And until you get it right, you're gonna keep on coming back.
I'll be back. Always felt like that.
You're gonna keep on coming back. So then people say, you be like, damn, I did this.
Deja vu.
Better do it different.
Or what's even funnier, you ever felt like you knew somebody?
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
I want to say something.
Now,
I know you from somewhere, and I never seen you before in my life.
Now, even better is this one. You ever dream and you ain't got a clue who the hell these people are in your dream? But you, it's some kind of closeness you feel like you know them. one of my master teachers, Mfundisi Chihuti, told me that you can actually access every last one of your ancestors. It's part of your DNA.
I like the flush.
They're part of your DNA. So when you dream and you come across them, hey, all right, man, yeah, I ain't seen you in 300 years. All right, you keep it moving. Because you'll be back until you get it right. What was the show? What was the show with the dude that kept going back in history? Quantum Leap. Kept on cutting, kept on going back.
Groundhog Day
back.
too, Groundhog Day too, he kept going.
I never seen Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day
I never
was
seen Highlander either.
the same day.
Yeah.
Quantum Leap, this brother was
Quantum
going
Leap.
to 1940s,
Oh, all right.
to the 80s.
All right.
So he was trying to leap back to the
Alright,
day
alright.
that he leaped in the first place.
All right.
So he just kept on going back until he got it right. I don't know if he ever got back home or not. I don't know. I ain't seen it in the show, but he was doing some jumping. It says, without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength. And thought must be, what's that?
Nah, that resonates, you know, with something in my life.
Yeah, without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength. So I mean, that could apply to everybody in here because
course.
it might come a time when you got to put up a battle and you might have to go stand in front of some magistrate. But until it's time to go stand in front of a magistrate, you don't really know how well you can enunciate this stuff. It might sound good in class because you get in front of SetenRa Taj said. So without a foe, you'll never know. Because you can say what you want in front of me, but until you get in front of them, and you get to stumbling and fumbling and farting all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength, and thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. And so this carnal nature soon became a foe that man must fight. What's the carnal nature?
It's your lower self.
That he might be the strength of Allah made manifest. Let every living thing stand still and hear. Man is the Lord of the plane manifest, of protoplast, of mineral, of plant, of beast. But he gave up his birthright just to gratify his lower self. But man will regain his lost estate, his heritage. But he must do it in a conflict that cannot be told in words. Yea, he must suffer the trials and temptations made manifold. What we talked about last week? Oh, patience. Patience. I know some people don't have it. Some people are developing it. And some people have it. But understand that without it, you ain't gonna get nothing done. Ain't nothing. Everything that we talking about was supposed to be done yesterday. We supposed to just be congregating and having a good time and talking about the harvest and the plant and everything that's what we should be doing. We shouldn't be here talking about the stuff that was supposed to be done yesterday. But it ain't been done. So we gotta show a little bit of patience, do some studying and put in some work. Yeah. So that way when the little baby that just stood up, when she get my age, when she turned 38, she be like, all right, cool. She can just mosey along. Yet he must suffer trials and temptations manifold. But let him know that the cherubim and seraphim that rule the stations of the sun and the spirit of the Almighty Allah who rule the solar stars are his protectors and his guide, and they will lead to victory. Man will be fully saved, redeemed, perfected by the things he suffers on the plane of flesh and on the plane of soul. When man has conquered carnal things, his garb of flesh will then have served his purpose well, and it will fall. There will be no more. When man has conquered carnal things, his garb of flesh will then have served his purpose well, and it will fall. There will be no more. What that mean?
You don't need this.
So-called
You
death.
don't need a spacesuit. You won't need the spacesuit.
That means you will have advanced or ascended.
Remember that Patrick Swayze movie?
Ghost?
When he had to finish his job or something?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, that resonates to me with this.
Yeah.
Once you finish your job,
Yes.
you move on.
Yes. Like
And
Elizabeth.
otherwise, you die and come back. And like Taj said, you be one of them telepathic babies.
It's just lessons, y'all. It's just lessons for you to understand and then you start to apply at some point. I mean, each one of these you're not going to apply today, but it's going to come a time when you got to say, you know what, let me run back there. And certain stuff applies.
Yes, sir.
Then he will stand untrammeled on the plane of soul, where he must full complete his victories. Unnumbered foes will stand before a man on the plane of soul. These he must overcome, yea, overcome them every one.
Yes, sir.
Thus hope will ever be his beacon light. Excuse me. There is no failure for the human soul, for Allah is leading on and victory is sure.
That's right.
So that means don't give up your fight. That means if you go to one of these tribunals and the magistrate jumps on you today, take it on the chin. Go look at what you did wrong. Regroup. And then go knock his ass out. Man cannot die. The spirit is one with Allah. While Allah lives, man cannot die. When man has conquered every foe on the plane of soul, the seed will have full opened out, will have unfolded in the holy breath. The garb of soul will then have served its purpose well, and man will need it nevermore. And it will pass and be no more, and man will then attain unto the blessedness of perfectedness and be at one with Allah.
Islam. Islam.
That whole chapter 1 gave me chills when I read it a couple weeks ago, because when I read it the first time, I didn't read it. When I read it a couple weeks ago, I read it, and I read it over and over and over. It took me like an hour to read just that, because I got out my dictionary, because it was words in there like husbandman that I didn't know what I never heard that word in my life. Husbandman. So now you got it on the third page, so you can look it up and see what husbandman means. Because if I don't know what it means, I got to assume that one of y'all not going to know what it means.
Yep.
So then I put a list of words together, so now you got it. I want to jump over to chapter 3. That's probably on the second page you got before we go into the winter solstice. That works? Okay. Everybody got chapter 3?
Yes.
Elihu's lessons, the unity of life. Again, Elihu met his pupils in the sacred grove and said, no man lives unto himself, for every living thing is bound by cords to every other living thing. So that means you connected with the plants, you connected with the soil, you connected with the insects, the other animals, and everything else, right? So if I'm connected, I'm connected with all of y'all. I feel a special closeness to all of y'all, right? So if I pick up that dictionary and I came over here and I knocked Mike upside his head, that ain't really showing no type of closeness, no type of bond. It ain't showing no connectivity. So what's that say about people who take rifles and shotguns and bow and arrows and go hide up on cute little stands in the woods and shoot animals?
They're not in tune.
They're not in tune.
Disconnected.
They disconnected. We disconnected. Because that's what? That's mankind.
Yeah.
That was how it was in the movie Avatar.
What's mankind?
Man-like.
Man-like. Not us. Not us. Listen, don't feel no type of way about saying mankind and separating yourself from them, because they do it all the time.
Except for man.
They'll
Mankind.
yeah, they'll tell you. They'll tell you, who was it, Neil Armstrong that said that? What do you say? One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
He told you right there.
Yep. I was like, wait a minute, how many aliens is on Earth?
Listen, it wasn't even no small step for us. We've been made that step.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, okay.
Listen, when the Dogons told them it was serious agency, they thought they was drunk. They thought they was crazy until I'll be honest and say, damn, they was right.
Pictures serious.
So it was one giant leap for them. It was
Yeah, because that's the biggest thing they ever done.
yeah.
Stop going.
So they
All
stopped
of a
going.
sudden,
They ain't going the first
stop
place.
going.
That's a small thing for
You
us.
said the flag with the flags in the
That was in
shadow.
the
No, no.
desert.
I'm gonna tell you the best thing, the best picture I ever seen from the moon landings. They showed my man on the moon, and he was like this, right? But the moon was behind him. So listen, so, hey.
No.
Yeah, that's what I laughed, but yeah, they on the moon and they like, yeah, but the moon is in the background behind. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, well,
That's like the picture of the first camera.
they do all types of stuff in Hollywood, right?
Blunder of the year.
Yeah. Says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will love and not demand love in return. That's the key concept, because a lot of people will only do things for people if they want to get something back.
Right.
Exactly.
Somebody said to me a while back, why don't you take the donations from class? Because I don't need it. I take the donations and J.W. Bey tell you they stay right here at the York House. I don't even know, and from day to day, week to week, I don't even know how much we collect. I don't care. What we use it for is if we need it for something. If somebody's in some real trouble and they need some help, they need some financial help, then we try to help them if we can. So I'm standing here and I tell y'all every week, I love y'all before we leave. And I'm giving y'all love. I don't expect it back, but I welcome it. I don't do it so you'll praise me. I don't want your praise. I want your understanding. I want your comprehension. I want your desire to get out and make things happen. Well, blessed are the heart. Blessed are the people who do things without the want of something coming back. Always remember that. It's you know what they say, it's better to give than receive. It ain't bad to receive though. Somebody, you know, it ain't bad, but it's always good to reach out and extend your hand and give somebody something. Because it's going to come back on you one way or the other. So blessed are the pure in heart, for they will love and not demand love in return. They will not do to other men what they would not have men do unto them. Sound like the Ten Commandments.
No, golden rule.
Hmm?
That one, that's the golden rule.
Yeah, but all coming from our ancestors. Moses only came down off the mountain when he found the day that we left. But ain't that one of the Ten Commandments? Something like that. Don't do unto, you know, something like that.
The golden rule, they call it.
That's the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you.
Right, but it's not one of the Ten Commandments. Oh, all right. Show you how much I
That's
was.
what don't steal, don't kill.
Don't lie.
Okay.
That messed that up when that whole money thing came into it.
The highest self is spirit, clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah. The lower self, did I forget five? I did. There are two selves, the higher self and the lower self. The higher self is spirit man clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah. The lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires, is a reflection of higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. The lower self is an illusion and will pass away. The higher self is Allah in man and will not pass away. The higher self is the embodiment of truth. The lower self is truth reversed, and is soul and falsehood manifest. The higher self is justice, mercy, love, and right. The lower self is what the higher self is not. The lower self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murders, theft, and everything that harms. The higher self is mother of the virtues and harmonies of life. The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace. It offers pleasure, joy, and satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery, and death. So I'm going to read that again. The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace. It offers pleasure, joy, and satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery, and death. What's that make you think about on the top of your head?
I wanted to add on to that. I just thought about the whole
I ain't gonna shoot you, put your
the
hands
drama that all like some people say jihad, but the jihad that you will have within yourself, that everyone should have within themselves, the battle of the lower self, so that your higher self, so the lower self can be subordinate to your higher self.
Could you run it back one more time?
I'll run it back. The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace. It offers pleasure, joy, and satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery, and death.
I'm just thinking that means the Lord self is always lying to you, telling you things that really are not true. Are we buying into?
Go ahead, bro.
It made me think of Al Sharpton.
No, you didn't.
When you say rich in promises, rich in promises, and then you go to the end and you say misery, death, unsatisfying gain. And it was about a week or two ago on Morris History and Heritage School. They was talking about when you look at him, you can see he's skinny. It looked like he's about to die any minute.
He looked like he gonna drop off
his skin, like it looked like he's holding on to a thread right now.
Yeah. My man said Al Sharpton.
This sounds like how we sell ourselves to the lower self. I want to go get a Mercedes Benz, but what do I have to do to get a Mercedes Benz? And normally you're selling your soul to get those joys, pleasures, and all, like Daniel Webster. He sold himself to the devil so that he could have everything that he wanted. And then when he got everything he wanted, he was miserable. Or what he lacked.
So me and D on the same page. What I thought about was the fiat. I thought about the fiat. Let's read it again. I said it loud.
I'm gonna add on to your fiat.
Read the whole thing.
Okay, it says the lower self is rich in promises. Fiat is rich in promises. Get the fiat and we promise you wealth and fame and promise you all the Mercedes Benzes and all of that, and then you sell your soul to get it. But poor in blessedness and peace.
Yes.
Now, let's think back just over this past year. Just over the past year. Robin Williams shot himself or hung himself or something. A couple of them other stars OD on heroin and things like that.
They got on magazine about 8 or 9 of them.
Yeah. So even though they rich in fiat and they think they're wealthy, they miserable and they have no peace. How many times you hear about these stars in AA, Narcotics Anonymous, and all of that type of thing? Yeah. So it made me think about the fiat. Hold on a second. I got you. It offers pleasure, joy, and satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery, and death. That sounds like, let's get Bilal like he got to go back from me.
My question to that was, since that inception of this fiat, before the inception of fiat, the world was dealing in barter, right? Majority, that was the whole true form of commerce, was dealing with barter, right?
They used, before the fiat, they used silver and gold, which is actual love for money. They used silver and gold. It was just heavy. That's when your boy over there came up with the thought that you put all your gold over here in my basement, I'll give you this little piece of paper and tell you how much it is.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But they still use gold. But I mean, even when you go all the way back into your ancient cultures, there was still some form of commerce. There was bartering, but there was some form of commerce.
I'm looking at it from that barter aspect and say, all right, if you have something that's good and I have something that's good, we're not going to try to devalue each other.
No.
But with the money situation in the fiat, it's all about that. It's all about,
It's about how much you can get. I mean, you see that. You see that. I pay attention to sirens. I always did, but even more so now. When I see these policy enforcers and I see these cats, and that's all about fiat. That's all about fiat. And it ain't even going into their pockets. They raping and ravaging you for somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, it breaks down to fiat, but you can look in the paper and see what's happening, because they're saying that they're gonna rebuild these houses and so forth, and they're gonna make these neighborhoods better. At the same time, they're going in and they're taking stuff that supposedly foreclosing.
Yes.
And they're taking these properties and they're using this eminent domain, and they want to take this and they're going to make it nice and so forth, and they have jobs for people because they're taking this stuff and they need a place to store their stuff that they're taking and so forth. So now they have a storage house where somebody that has an old raggedy truck or whatever that has a job, and they have, you know, a couple of Mexicans or something to go in there and do the work. And they have another a foreigner that has the trucking company. That's another job that they, you know, giving people and so forth. And all of this, politicians.
It's created,
They
it created the
we gonna
jobs to
give you-
produce fiat.
We're gonna give you something good. We're gonna give you some nice houses. We're gonna change this neighborhood. And they're gonna put some sawdust houses together that will last about maybe 10 years before they start falling down around your ankles.
It's all about commerce.
Right?
And you gotta know that, that Albion is full of lower self. It's almost like they don't have no higher self. It's almost like they only got one self, and that's it, just the lower self. And don't get me wrong, that's not all of them. Because even the prophet said, the European is helping me, why not you? That's not all of them, but you got some of them out there. You got some of them out there that will cut their own. How many of y'all ever seen a show called House of Cards? Kevin Spacey. You watched that show?
I seen it a while ago.
Y'all should check that show out. It just show how grimy they are in D.C. Kevin Spacey had another guy running for governor. He's the majority whip of the House of Congress. And he had a guy from Pennsylvania running for the governor of Pennsylvania. So the guy, you know, started smelling and stuff like. It's almost like me standing up here and I'm like, listen, Taj, ain't nobody trying to hear that crap you talking, this is my class. So then Taj, what Taj gonna do? Taj gonna check me. Taj gonna say, listen, boy, you don't know as much as you think you might know. Taj gonna tell me I forgot more than you remember. So this is what Kevin Spacey did to my man. Once he started smelling his britches, he offed him. And then he's sitting there with the president and he say, oh yeah, Sasquatch died last night. He was like, oh. And turned around and act like he was crying. But the point that I'm making is, he killed him the night before. And didn't care less about it because he was in the way of what Kevin Spacey wanted to do. You all in the way of what this Albion trying to do. I'm gonna share something with y'all, then we get back to this. I called the U.S. passport office in D.C. a couple days ago. And I was on hold with him for like 29 minutes. And of course, you know, we going through the whole riffraff. You an American citizen? I said, yeah, I'm an American citizen. I'm not a United States citizen. Wait. So then we go through that. So if I need to clarify, everybody clear difference in United States citizen and American?
Yes.
So we go through that. So the next question is, where were you born? I was born at Philadelphia. At Philadelphia. Yeah, Philadelphia's a corporation. And Pennsylvania? In Pennsylvania. You got a birth certificate? I got a birth record. Get a birth certificate back, it's theirs. So we steady going back and forth in this 29 minutes. Now I've been on hold for like 12 minutes. He comes back on the phone. But this is when he came back on the phone. And he said, wait, you got a birth certificate? And when I said that I got a birth record and not the birth certificate, and started going into how I'm an indigenous, Aboriginal American. Well, I didn't say American, I said Alberoccan. I just wanted to mess with his head because I knew he was writing everything down to take it back to somebody else because he kept coming back to the phone. So he going back and forth. And when I said something about not being black, that I can't be black, he didn't even say, hold on. I just heard music. He put me back on hold, right? And like 30 seconds later, he hung up. After like 29 minutes, I'm like, dang.
No respect.
I'm like, dang.
Drop you like a hot rock.
29 minutes, right? See, because that's getting in the way. When you call up there talking about you want a non-citizen national passport, and that you ain't black, and I know you ain't no U.S. citizen, they got what?
You can't got it on there. If you look at.
Oh, I know what's on it. I put the affidavit together for it. I know what's on it.
They already have it on there, I think. I got to check into it. This is what I heard. I don't know. they say when you file, it's already a section on the application that says to another, the United States
This is what I'm telling you. I already know. I did the affidavit almost 2 years ago. On the application for a United States passport, what it says is this: we issue passports, we issue U.S. passports to U.S. citizens and non-citizen national passports. So when I saw that a couple years ago, I came running to Taj. I said, Taj, look. Taj said, all right, well, what you gonna do? And I'm like, shit, I bought it to you, so you can do something. He challenged me. So I went home and I sat one Memorial Day weekend. I got up. I was down my family house on vacation, and I sat there for about 4 hours and put the affidavit together. Brought it back to Taj. He tweaked it. Me and Rick looked it over, and we put it together.
I think you're gonna put like non-citizen passport, and they will accept you as foreign. I mean, they
Because
got it
you know
twisted
why?
around.
Because you are foreign to the United States.
Right, but that's the whole key, and that's the confusion that they allow to put out there to people to make it say, you foreign, and they thinking that we foreign to America, but it's not foreign to America.
That's why we're here.
It's foreign to the United States, like you said.
That's why
and
we're
that's
here.
the trick they use, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
To make
you
you
know why?
think, because first thing you say, foreign, hold up. You know what I mean? We ain't foreign. You know, and that's the illusion that they want to put you in.
It's just like Paul said in the Bible. I fooled you with what? With God. It's trickery. It's what
Not a trickery, trick that
that's why you got to understand how to read. So when you get that stuff, you can go through and say no, and break it down. Otherwise, you're gonna look at the affidavit and say, all right, well, just give me a regular U.S. passport, because you don't know that you're not.
What have you been using to go back and forth to Canada?
Me?
Yeah.
The corporate. The corporate. But I don't want to use it no more, because I'm just the problem for me is this. Like I was telling the brother Nebo yesterday, we got so much work to do that I don't want that to prevent me from getting it done. But I don't like using it because I know I shouldn't be using it. I know that I'm not a ship, and I know that I'm not going to any ports, so I know that I don't need no damn passport. The problem is, what the Grand Sheik always tell me, is always remember that you are under occupation. And that's the part that hurts. That's the part that cuts like a knife. So the only thing for me to do is to work on the necessary paperwork I need so I can travel in peace. It ain't that I like it, but I understand it.
Yeah, don't.
It's almost like when your dog dies. You don't like it, but you understand it. It is what it is. When Taj told me that probably 3 years ago, always remember that we are under occupation. It is what it is. Do I like it? Hell no.
That's a hurtful statement.
It is. But listen. Surgery usually is painful.
I'm sorry now that you even said that out loud.
Hey, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. I could have lied. But I would lie for what? But I tell you what. Cujo, Grand Sheik Cujo is in Louisiana right now. They brought him down to do election. If Grand Sheik Cujo say, nah, I ain't coming because of this, then the people down there gonna suffer. They're not gonna get the information that he gonna bring. Now they can go on and watch the videos, but it ain't nothing like this. It's nothing like that. When I went to Canaan Land last January for Prophet Noble Drew Ali Day, look, I'm gonna tell y'all real talk. And don't be talking about me neither. I was brought to tears. The only person I knew was Cujo. He was the only person I had ever met in the flesh. There was like 670 people in there, man, and they all waiting for me. Me? That's how I look at it. Never mind how y'all see me or what y'all think about me. I'm talking about what I'm saying. They come to see me. They in here clapping and cheering and thanking me and hugging me and feeding me more stuff than I can eat and giving me this and giving me that. I can't take all this stuff back. Because Cujo said, can you Skype with me for Drew Ali Day? I said, hell no, I'm coming up there. The energy that I felt when I was in that place, in that room with all my brothers and sisters, I can't explain to you. So I can say, all right, you know what? I ain't gonna travel. I would have never experienced that. I've been to Canaan Land already 4 times this in 2014. already, 4 times in 214. I got as many friends and family up there as I got down here. Probably not, but y'all get what I'm saying. The energy that you share with your brothers and sisters, man.
Yes.
If we let them, although they got their foots on our neck, they got their feet on our necks. If we allow them to keep it there, we ain't gonna get nothing done. Because technically, for that matter, if I wasn't going to Canaan land, if I was going somewhere else, and I didn't have a nationality card, and they said you got some ID, I probably would have to show them the commercial driver's license I got. I don't like the fact that I got that either, but I got it. Otherwise, I can't operate these tractor trailers I got. I can, but then I run the risk of them taking my equipment and all the other nonsense. Do I like it? Hell no. Hell no. Do I like it? Hell no. Do I understand it? All comes with understanding. The Grand Chief told me, always remember you are under occupation. And I never forgot those words. I never forgot it. I tell it to somebody all the time. I said, see how I be what? Be dry snitching? My mom did teach me not to point machine here. See how I be dry snitching? So, hey man, you know, that was the whole purpose of me calling up there. And the reason for me calling up there was this. Because the boy tell you, I was ready to go down there. I was ready to go down Second and Market and be like, look, I ain't trying to hear that shit. Give my language. Listen, make it happen. But I know when I go in there, I'm gonna walk up to the window and I'm gonna say, listen, you know, SetenRa, we're going to catch you, baby. I'm here for this, I'm here for that, this, that, and third, make it happen. They're gonna be looking like, nonsense, nice.
Security.
Security.
Wait right here. Hey, wait a minute, I don't know what he's talking about. Hey, listen, man, we can't do nothing for you. Now, initially, when we put the affidavit together, Grand Chief and Rick said, no, don't take it down there. What you telling me to do with it? He don't remember.
Send it international.
Send it. He told me, what you said was mail it. Same thing you said. Don't go down there. Mail it to him.
I don't see you.
Mail it to him. So that way you know that notice to the agent is notice to the principal, and notice to the principal is notice to the agent. Send it to them and let them deal with it. Let their people deal with it. Instead of going to the window, saying, look, what's your name? Mike. Mike Shirt. Make it happen. And Mike's sitting there like,
Mike getting $8 an hour. He ain't trying to make nothing.
Mike ain't trying to hear it. Mike ain't trying to hear it. So, you know, that's it. That's it in a nutshell. So don't be salty that I said it. Just know that that I'm doing it because I'm working. Now, I did go up there a couple times for fun, but know that I'm working. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to allow them to prevent me from doing what needs to be done. Even though they hinder me when I get to what they call the border, and they go through my stuff and pull everything out the trunk, and every time. Go ahead, bro.
Your nationality card get you right through the border?
Will it get me through the border?
Yeah. Like, is that the only thing you present when you go up to Canada?
No.
No.
No. Now they actually had my nationality card the last time I went. When we crossed the border, I gave them the passport. I had my nationality card was in the box, in the glove box. And of course they pulled us in and they ransacked the vehicle. Well, it was just a woman. She ransacked the vehicle. She looked in the glove box. She said, "Whose is this?" I said, "It's mine." She said, "Come get it." So, come get it. I'm gonna show y'all what she did when I came to get it. Come get it. Come get it. Before she gave it to me, she said, and she gave it to me. But she looked at it to make sure it was me because the corporate passport said one thing. This right here says SetenRa Bey. There's 3 different ones in here. So they called us in. About 20 minutes they called us in. So I'm thinking it's about to go down. I'm sitting there licking my chops like, game time. They gonna say, what's this, what's that, what's this, what's that? And they didn't want me, they wanted another member of my party for whatever, specific reason. But they didn't let him travel. But they ain't bothered me. And she looked at both. She had them both. Now, realistically, I told her, what I really would like to do is travel up there and attempt it. Because one or two things are gonna happen. Either they're gonna say, cool, go ahead, or they're gonna say, what the hell is this?
Right, but if they don't recognize it.
Of course they're not gonna recognize it. But then again, they might. Ain't no telling. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we got to, now, I tell you what, how many, just by show of hands, how many people here got nationality cards? Who'd like to try it with me? It's a 6 hour ride, and I'm willing to make, and I'm willing to do the navigating. Who's willing to try it? Silence. Silence.
No, there's some
You know,
volunteers.
into recent years, you know, Moors used to travel with the nationality card, except that as Moors started claiming more, they start shutting down because what happens, it makes the T-bills dead.
I'm about to do it next Friday. I'm flying to New Orleans on the nationality card. The plane ticket is going to say SetenRa Bey. And what I did is I called the TSA and I recorded the phone call. I'll let y'all listen to it. Talked to some dude. So I said, well, look, I don't have no driver's license. I don't have no corporate state ID. I said, all I got is my nationality card. I said, but I need to travel. So he said, it's not an Indian tribal card? I said, I'm not an Indian. I'm a Moor. Hold on a second. I tell you what, it's not on the primary list of IDs, but, so he said, but, now I'm like, all right, cool, it's a but. That means it's something else. But, you can use it as a secondary ID to fly if you have another piece of ID with that on.
With that name.
I got 3
Yes.
nationality cards in my pocket.
Right to travel
I got
card.
a AAA card with SetenRa Bey in my pocket. So how many? Pick one. So you know what he told me? Hey man, you listen. I ain't saying they ain't gonna let you fly. You might just want to come a little early. No problem. So, what is this? I did. From where? What you mean from where? It's a nationality card. This is an identification. It has my picture on it. It has my appellation. It has my height, my weight, my eye color, my hair color, my date of birth, where I domicile.
It's right there.
Everything that pertains to identification is on this card. So how are you going to tell me that it's not acceptable identification? Wait. TSA, you under the Department of State? You're under the Department of State, right? They got my nationality paperwork and they accept it. I got the green card right here. If you ain't willing to stand, then you just gonna fall for anything.
That's right. That's right.
I ain't thinking twice about it. Like I said, I'm flying to New Orleans next Friday on my nationality card.
All right.
For sure.
So don't be disappointed in me.
I'm not. I'm just hoping that I don't come on the tube and hear about this more at the airport.
We gonna strike that comment from the record. We ain't even harvesting that kind of energy.
That's right.
SetenRa,
Yes.
a brother said what he did was to put an affidavit together, affidavit of travel, with his photo and all the information, and he sent a copy to Homeland Security and a copy to TSA prior to, and let them know in advance that he'll be traveling.
I sent one out Monday.
Yeah.
I sent it overnight, so that way I know they got it.
Yes. Yes. That's right.
See what I'm saying? But either way, I'm going. What time is it?
What time?
Time never was, but time
2:41. All right.
Time but never was.
I'm gonna,
never was no time.
I'll tell you what, ain't no time, right? But that lady that be in here setting up when we come in,
Yes,
4 o'clock come and she come through here and she start kicking chairs for the people. And know she got an invoice in the first place.
You put it in a
And
red.
on top of that, Rick done ran her off this morning, telling her that Jesus wasn't real. Broke the poor lady's heart.
No, did you?
She ran off. She pushed her cart.
She coming with
vengeance.
See, then, Gonna ruin that. Now, how she supposed to enjoy Christmas? And she
You should have seen his face. He said religion.
let's finish these up so I can give y'all some solstice information, and then we can what they call it, fellowship. Number 13, it gives men apples that are lovely to the eye and pleasant to the smell. Their cores are full of bitterness and gall. It gives men apples that are lovely to the eye and pleasant to the smell. Their cores are full of bitterness and gall. When I read that, I thought about schools. Like, they got the building, and it looks like a school, and they got the teachers, and they work at the school, and it's got the students, and they go to the school, but when they get in the building, they ain't in school. Look nice and shiny, but when they get inside, it's bitterness.
Go.
And go. That's just what I saw.
Yeah.
If you would ask me what to study, I would say yourselves. And when you have well studied them, and would ask me what to study next, I will reply yourselves. He who knows well his lower self knows the illusions of the world, knows the things that pass away. Knows of the things that pass away. And he who knows higher self knows a lot, knows well the things that cannot pass away.
That's right.
Thrice blessed is the man who has made purity and love his very own. He has been ransomed from the perils of the lower self and is himself his higher self. Man seeks salvation from evil that they deem a living monster of another world. And they have gods that are but demons in disguise, all powerful, yet full of jealousy and hate and lust, whose favors must be bought with costly sacrifice of fruits and the lives of birds and animals and humankind. And yet these gods possess no ears to hear, no eyes to see, no heart to sympathize, and no power to save. This evil is a myth. These gods are made of air, clothed with shadows of thoughts. The only devil from which men must be rendered is self.
Redeemed.
The only devil from which men must be redeemed is self, the lower self. If man will find his devil, he must look within. His name is self. If man will find his savior, he must look within. And when the demon self has been dethroned the savior, love will be exalted to the throne of power. The David of light is purity, who slays the stronger life of the dark and seats the savior, love upon the throne.
All right, Islam.
Those two, and actually chapter 4, resonated with me the most. If you got a circle 7, read it. If not, read them few chapters. And hopefully you can grasp one of these lessons. And not hopefully, I know you can, because we've been sitting here talking about them for the past hour or so. And just know that regardless of what people say about this book, about the Bible, about the Torah, about any of them, that is truth in these books. Truth is right here in your heart. So when you pick it up, let it be heartfelt. If it's not heartfelt, put it down.
All right.
Because it wasn't heartfelt when I first picked it up and I threw it down. But the second time I picked it up, it was heartfelt. And that's why I'm here sharing it with y'all. So, like I said, I hope Ross comes in today. If not, grab one, whether you can get one from Taj might have some. Maybe he brings something next class, however. Question, right?
I wanted to add on to that self. I've heard in scriptures that would say that Jesus would tell Satan to get behind him. And then you see, in the Kemetic text, you see Haru in the same art. The art of it in the Kemetic science of it is you see a depiction of Haru and Set together, and as one, the dualities of day and night, I guess, so the creature.
Upper
That's
world,
why,
lower world,
yeah,
higher self, lower self.
that's why Set represents an aardvark. Aardvark and has poor sight, but he feeds after mounds of ants at night and digs. Whereas the other creatures, it's a falcon that represents the light and is high, has perfect sight. You can see. So you see these dualities in nature. And
That's all it is in nature is duality. We would take a short break so I can get set up for the solstice. So let's cut flight 5 or 10, and then we'll get right at it.
Ready.
Islam.
Islam.
Time to talk about the winter solstice.
That's why I said a few things that we could
I got a million and one notes, so I'm gonna be running back and forth from the book
Now my chair.
to the chalkboard,
Great.
board to the chalkboard.
My chair has been great.
The winter solstice, December 21st, 2014. This year, the solstice is going to occur at 6:03 Eastern Standard Time. Last year it was like 12:11 in the afternoon or something like that.
Okay.
Solstice, you know we got two of them, winter solstice and summer solstice. Solstice means that the summer stands still. Sol, sun, stis, stand still. Two stand still. On December 21st, 2014 at 6:03 Eastern Standard Time, that phenomenon will occur. You can go over to, I forget what part of Europe it is. Where is Stonehenge at? Is it in London?
Greenwich.
Greenwich?
Yeah.
Greenwich. All right, so in Greenwich, you got what's called Stonehenge. And it's where Albions converge every year on both solstices, winter and summer, to actually watch the rising and setting of the sun, so they can witness the solstice, because they feel like they're going to get all of this energy and all of these blessings and all of this other good stuff. Up in Toronto, there's actually a Stonehenge too. The Albion have you thinking that Stonehenge belonged to them, that it was them that created Stonehenge. But if you remember right, Europe was named after one of your queens, after one of your ancestors, Queen Europa. In the northern hemisphere, you get the winter solstice. And in the southern hemisphere, you get the summer solstice. Because right now we got winter, and right now they got summer. So when you got the winter solstice, the sun is actually at its lowest point all year long in the sky. And on the summer solstice, the point will be at its highest. I mean, the sun will be at its highest point in the sky. So if this is the earth plane, we put a little house in.
Does look like a Christmas tree.
Like Christmas tree? I'll put a door there, a little window.
That's a junk right
Now it look like a house. Y'all gonna force me to get my artist on today.
Your A game.
Yeah. Now keep in mind, we talking about 12/21. 14. That's the sun. On December 21st. On June 21st, the sun will be there. On December 21st, like I said, the sun reaches its lowest point of elevation all year long. You get the shortest day of the year on December 21st. On June 21st, the summer solstice, you'll get the longest day of the year.
Party in Alaska.
Party in Alaska.
Oh man, that summer solstice party.
Good. Just so you can see, how this thing works. I'm gonna put a little diagram up here for you. I'm gonna erase December 21st. So we'll put right here, sunrise, sunset, and time of day. So today is December 13th. The sun rose this morning at 7:14 a.m. And the sun is going to set tonight at 4:36 p.m., giving us approximately 9 hours, 22 minutes, and 11 seconds of sun. Okay? On December 20th, so that's today, the 13th. On the 20th, the sun is going to rise at 7:19 a.m. I'm sorry, 7:18 a.m. and it's going to set at 4:38 p.m., giving you 9 hours and 20 minutes exactly of sun. On the 21st, which will be the solstice, the sun is going to rise at 7:19 a.m., set at 4:39 p.m., giving you 9 hours, 19 minutes, 57 seconds of daylight. Y'all got that? Now, when the solstice occurs, the sun begins to ascend. It begins to rise 1 degree to the north every day until it reaches the summer solstice. So, like I said, on the 21st, you'll have 9 hours, 19 minutes, 57 seconds of sunlight. On the 22nd, the sun is going to rise at 7:19 a.m. and it's going to set at 4:39 p.m. Giving you 9 hours, 19 minutes, and 58 seconds of sunlight. Now, to the average person, they're going to say that's the same thing.
It's an extra second.
But it's an extra second. So if we put it in numbers, and you only got 4 pair of pants, and I give you a 5th pair of pants, you good. Now you got 5 days that you got, so you can understand. You can now appreciate that extra 1. Right here with this extra second of daylight, people gonna be like, but astrologically, you can't change that. That's going to happen. You're going to get that second, and it's going to continue to go. December 22nd, you'll have, December 23rd, you'll have 9 hours, 20 minutes, and 3 seconds of sunlight. So that sun is going to rise 1 degree to the north every day until it reaches that summer solstice. So right here, you got the sun on the 21st at its lowest point of elevation. When the sun sits right here at its lowest point of elevation, it rests on a specific constellation. And that constellation is called what? Anybody know?
The cross.
The who?
Cross.
Not the cross. The crux. The crux, or crucifix.
I can see the science y'all right now.
Right? Now, how long is the sun going to stay at this point of elevation?
3 days.
3 days. So that means the 22nd, that means the 23rd, 24th. It's going to rest in the tomb for how many days?
3 days. 3
Then
days to the tomb.
resurrect.
And then on the 25th,
It's born.
the sun is reborn. Because the sun is now going to rise 1 degree to the north every day until June 21st, until it starts to make its descent, right?
As far as our axis, are those the days we are the furthest from the sun, or the days that we are the closest?
On that day, so this is the Earth axis, is on a 23.5 degree tilt. So the North Pole during the summer solstice would actually be further away from the sun. The South Pole will be closer.
That's called epigee and apogee.
What's up, Dooley?
No.
It's Master Teacher Abdullah Bey just crept in the
All
room.
right,
Keep his
yeah.
eye on him. Keep his eye on him. How many of y'all know Abdullah?
Peace, brother.
me for like 2 years straight.
Islam.
Yeah. Yeah, so you got right there the sun on the cross. And in 3 days, the sun is going to be resurrected. So you're a witness to what? The birth of the sun, right? We'll put that down here. So the story of the birth of the sun says that the 3 kings followed the star in the east to witness what? The birth of the sun, right? So astrologically speaking, the 3 kings will be represented by the 3 stars in Orion's belt. Those 3 stars are called today what they have always been called. Well, I won't say always, but by our ancient ancestors, they were called the 3 kings. The star in the east will be what?
Venus?
No.
Right.
No.
What?
What?
Was that again?
Easter.
No. The star in the east. The 3 kings followed the star in the east. Which star?
The sun.
Sun.
The sun.
The 3 kings followed the star in the east. to
Series
witness the
A,
birth of the
Series
sun.
B.
Serious.
Series. Seriously, serious.
Wise man.
The 3
Wow.
kings.
Be the man.
Serious.
The 3 kings followed the star in the east to witness the birth of the sun. On December 25th,
Crop picture.
take your telescope and look up in the sky. You'll see this phenomenon happen right here. Those 4 stars will point to the exact spot where the sun is going to rise 1 degree to the north. And then they gave you that story and told you it was the story of big baby Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus means son anyway.
Did you see the cat?
Any questions on the solstice? And then any occurrences on the solstice? Everybody clear on it?
Clear.
Now, question I have is this. Why did our ancestors celebrate that time of year?
The end of the winter, 1 second at a time. Summer leads to, planting and,
We ain't in summer yet.
well, it's the beginning of summer, the end of winter. Like I said, it's by 1 second, but it's still technically the
Leading to
downfall
spring.
of winter, right? So, like, I'm forced to believe that, and I remember you mentioning something of a harvest. So
You just said that, right?
I'm thinking that, it has something to do with a great harvest or something like that.
It was time for harvest. We had a festival to celebrate the harvest.
Well, that's what the sister spoke on last week.
That's what who?
She was back here.
Mm-hmm.
I forget she spoke on that last week.
Sister Ross.
Is that right?
How many of y'all recognize that? Yule tide. Anybody know what it is?
It's to the Christmas song.
Christmas song? Yule starts on December 21st. And it lasts until January 1st. What's the significance of that?
12 days of Christmas?
12 days of Christmas.
On Christmas?
That's 12 days.
So boards are leaping,
12 days of Christmas.
So is there any significance to the song? 12 days, 12 lords are leaping, all that?
I don't even remember that song.
5 swans are swimming?
Yule was celebrated by the Germanic tribes, by the Europeans. They celebrate Yule every year. And how they celebrated it was they would get log. That's where you get the Yule log. They would get the log and they would burn it.
That's Run DMC.
They would get the log and they would burn it. Every day they take the ashes and they would do things with the ashes. On the 12th day, which was January 1st, they would actually take that log, take a piece of it and a whole piece of it for the next, to start burning the log the next year. And then they would take a piece of it and they would put it up, like a little symbol of good luck in situations like that. They also had a little celebration they had called SetenRa.
Yeah, party.
Oh, that thing is crazy.
All of this surrounding December 21st. All of this surrounding the winter solstice. SetenRa was an ancient Roman festival held from December 17th to the 23rd. How many days is that?
17 to 23.
17 to 23rd.
7 days.
7 days. Marked by a sacrifice at the temple of Saturn in the Roman Forum, and a public banquet followed this sacrifice, followed by gift giving, continuous partying, and a carnival atmosphere that overturned Roman social norms. They allowed people to gamble, and they actually had the masters serve their slaves at this party.
Whoa.
This time of year was celebration for many, many, many tribes and families in Africa. They took this sacred day, which we honored because, as the brother said, it's time for coming to life. Spring will be around. It'll be time for New Year. The grass is going to start growing. The snow is going to go away. The flowers are going to grow. The crops are going to grow. It's a time and a symbol for new life. They got rid of that. They gave you, well, they had SetenRa, they had Yuletide, they had Yule logs, and they gave us what? Christmas. Christmas is December 25th.
Commercialism, that's what they gave us.
Right.
Christmas is December 25th. They gave you Santa Claus. They gave you the sleigh. They gave you Rudolph. How long it take Santa to get around the world, they said?
24 hours, right?
24 hours for Santa to travel around the world.
There you go.
It's all rooted in astrology. It's all rooted in astrology.
They pull a trick out. Is that their front?
That's the man. That's the man.
That's the Little Dipper. The last star in the Little Dipper is Polaris. Polaris will be the pole star. It's the pole star because it's located directly above the North Pole. That would be called Ursa Minor, or Ursa Minoris. Down here, you got the Big Dipper. Ursa Major. And they say Polaris is what's called a fixed star. Meaning what? It doesn't move. So they say all the stars in the northern hemisphere appear to rotate around Polaris. So when the stars in Ursa Major rotate around Polaris, it takes 23 hours, 56 minutes. Ursa Major looks like what?
Slave.
The sleigh. And you got your boy up there, guiding the sleigh. Rudolph. Rudolph, with his nose.
It's fast on his nose.
Huh? With his nose.
Better known as Saint Nick in Europe?
Saint Nick, Santa Claus, however you want to call it. This is where you get that old science from. You get the sleigh going around the North Pole, because this is where Santa lives at anyway.
You never know.
This is where Saint domiciles in the North Pole. You got Saint and the slave with Rudolph leading the way, going around all around the world in just one day. 23 hours and 56 minutes. How many of y'all heard of Dr. Malana Karenga?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kwanzaa.
Y'all don't sound too happy about Dr. Malana Karenga. Dr. Malana Karenga.
Is your agent.
He gave you what? Kwanzaa. $1966. Anybody know why he gave you Kwanzaa? Was it to replace Christmas? That's Abdullah's question. Was it to replace Christmas?
People think it did.
Nah.
Most people, well, like Abdullah said, most people think it does. He gave you Christmas because he said that these particular people called African and called Afro-Americans needed some ties to their culture. Right?
Afro, I got an afro.
So in his mind, Afro-Americans needing some ties to their culture means they need ties to what? To Africa, right? Did y'all know that Kwanzaa is actually a Swahili word?
Yeah.
Did y'all know that in Swahili, it's only spelled with one A?
Oh, really?
That Malana Karenga added the second A to differentiate, so he can put a difference between you and your brothers. He added an A.
So you be African American.
He added an A. Now, just to divert from that for a second, National Security Memorandum 46 says that it is imperative for us to keep the Africans on that side separate from the Africans on this side. We cannot allow them to congregate. We cannot allow them to get together and form a united front. That's what they rule. We don't write national security memorandums. That's what they rule, right? And then he's perpetuating. He's still putting a wedge between you and your brothers and sisters over there.
Not just that.
Now I'm thinking of
Because
Sean.
we talked to them we were talking at Rutgers. Yeah, because we told them about stuff at Rutgers.
Oh, y'all did?
Yeah. Was that, how many years ago was that?
10.
About 10 years ago. Yeah.
Now, what
He
was
could have told them the truth.
What was his retort? What did he say? Yeah.
Hmm?
What was his response?
No, what we were saying, you know, even with the candlesticks, not telling them that they were 7 Elor and giving them the holy names and telling them the truth. You know, why you got to make up something that you know is still not the truth
Right, he's not
under the
giving
guise of bringing them to Afrocentricity when he actually told them another lie.
Right. You're extending the
Because he
line.
know them 7 candlesticks don't represent no
Coochie chocolate.
mojo and all the crap.
Coochie chocolate.
See, peanut butter sandwiches.
That's actually where we going now.
Coochie chocolate.
So Malana Karenga gave you,
That's why I couldn't remember the rap.
I ain't gonna hold my paperwork.
Nah, I think I got this.
Slamming over on the Dutch.
Nah,
Yeah,
man.
because my paperwork ain't on.
Nah, man. He wouldn't do that to you.
I'm looking for Nah, I got that. I'm looking for all my paperwork. There it is.
Accusing, falsely accusing, falsely accusing.
Malana Karenga gave you 7 candles, and he gave you 7 days. He gave you Moja, which is unity. He gave you Kuji Jagalita. I think everybody remember that.
I don't.
and that means self-determination. He gave you Ujima, and that's collective work and responsibility. Ujima, cooperative economics. Nia, purpose, and Kumba, creativity, and Imani is faith. When we were at the Lot Conference, one of the elders that makes some wooden sculptures had one of those, and he wanted to know what the Circle 7 was on my wrist. What did the Circle 7 stand for? So I told him. And then the next day when I seen him again, then we had Taj tell him. Because maybe he wasn't trusting what I said. So then we had Taj tell him what it was. And the 7 principles he gave you, they're not bad in moja, unity, to strive and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. I don't have an issue with that. The only issue I got is him not being totally forthcoming and not telling you everything that you need to know. I don't have a problem with unity, to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. But then we got to start to break these words down. What's community? Do we really have common unity? Because if we did, then he would have told us the truth about the 7 candlesticks that's up there. But he didn't. He put his twist on them, and he put his celebratory thing on there, and he became famous for it.
Translation, he lied.
It says nation and race. It says nation and race. What nation? So when they talking nation, they talking this nation.
RBG.
They talking the black nation.
RBG.
Red, black, and green. But that nation don't exist. It only exists in our minds. It only exists in people's hearts because it's an emotion that they deal with.
Right.
Kuji Jagali is self-determination, to define ourselves, to name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves, rather than to allow others to do these things for us. So to define ourselves, to name ourselves, to create ourselves, and to speak for ourselves, rather than allow others to do this for us. Somebody already done that. Somebody already put a paradigm in place for us to be able to do that.
That's right.
And they ignored it.
Then he agreed and perpetrated it.
After they killed him, and after the movement went in every different direction they could go in, you forgot about that. You forgot that your name was given back to you, that your title was given back to you. You forgot about who you were. You forgot, and then you was told again, and then you damn forgot again. And then he comes along with Kuji Jagalia, and everybody like, oh, that's a nice fancy word, Kuji Jagalia. Well, you already been told. Prophet Noble Ali brought you that way back when?
100 years ago.
Ujima, collective work and responsibility, to build and maintain our community together, to make our sisters and brothers' problems our problems, and to solve them together. We damn sure ain't done that. There's a whole lot of people gonna be celebrating Kwanzaa in a couple weeks, and ain't none of them.
They just gift giving.
I didn't somehow fell into making everybody's issues my issues. I stay on the phone.
Kwanzaa's corporate.
Or emails. Yeah, I mean, listen.
It's supposed to be, you're supposed to make gifts and all that, but when you see a commercial for a card that says Happy Christmas Hana Kwanzaa, that just that's the red flag right there.
That's what happens. That's what happens. Ujama, cooperative economics, to build and maintain our own shops, stores, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. What happened? If Malana Karenga was so serious about this, he ain't pushed forward on none of it. I don't see him beating the concrete. I don't see him showing up at none of these meetings, or I never even heard of him coming to Philly.
Yeah, he does. Temple.
He goes to Temple?
Yeah.
Yeah, every year, forever.
Wears shades like an ape.
Goes to New York.
That's
You never see his face. So
Yeah,
wears shades.
I mean, so what about maintaining our own stores? I mean, all of this is stuff he put together.
You're boarded up, the stores here.
He should be showing up with an economic plan. If he's talking about cooperative economics, He should be showing up with an economic plan and say, listen, this is what we can do. This is what we can do. Need a purpose to make our collective vocation in building and developing our community in order to restore our people to traditional greatness. It's almost sound like you're starting to repeat itself.
Now, this is the issue we had with the very statement was, if he's doing that, we would tell him what those 7 candlesticks really mean. And if he's talking about economics, he already know that the people not in their proper person can't control economics because the estate automatically goes to the estate, which is why they're branded black and put under the black codes, which is a contradiction. And he knows better because we told him.
Number 6 is kuma, creativity. To do always as much as we can and the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and more beneficial than when we inherited. I ain't know what to say about that.
Boarded up stores.
Everything is boarded up.
One can of peas.
Chinese stores on this corner.
Poppy store in that corner.
Poppy store on the other corner.
The poppies, I mean, see, the sad thing is the poppies don't, some of them know they are brothers, and some of them ain't, you know, they, whatever.
They feeling it.
You know what I'm saying? But you got the Chinese store selling rice and wings. You got the Korean store selling weeds and fingernails. I mean, you got everybody in the community, you know, thriving financially, but us. And we feeding them. Iman, faith, to believe with all our hearts in people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. How we supposed to believe in leaders when we ain't seen no real leadership? Ain't nobody laid out no economic plan. Ain't nobody really telling you the truth about your national. Now, I ain't say nobody, it's a few of us. Ain't nobody really telling you the truth about what's going on out here. But you got these 7 principles and people swear by them. Only on them 7 days, though, they swear by it. Because for the rest of the year, they acting like,
Hey, gotta get my fingernails done.
You know he ain't got brand names.
if I put this into effect, didn't he go to jail not long after this? For a minute?
Yeah, a little bit.
Malana Karanga, right? And not long after Kwanzaa, after he come up with Kwanzaa, he did a little bit of jail time.
Really?
Beating the girl down.
He beat his chick up.
I think it's something like that.
Yeah, he went to prison for a little bit.
Doing the Christian thing.
Oh, that's why he wears his shades. You can't see his face.
Got beating somebody up.
You're not gonna see my eyes.
Sisters.
How many people know what the 7 candlesticks stand for? Anybody? Know what the 7 candlesticks stand for, what they represent?
The real meaning or the
Not you,
symbol?
Tom. And not that dude.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Let's talk, go ahead.
From what Taj taught, or they represent the planets or certain planets, and if you draw the lines on them through each other, it shows the axis that they're on.
Let's talk about the holy names of the 7 Idawa
7 days a week.
and the 7 days, according to the planetary, to the planets that rule them,
Mikael.
and the Eloah that represent them. Sunday is the first day of the week. It is ruled by the sun. The holy name of Sunday, Domingo in Spanish, is Mikael. That's one candle.
Gabriel.
Number 2, Monday is the second day of the week, which is ruled by the moon. The holy name of Monday, lunes in Spanish, is Gabriel. Tuesday is the third day of the week.
Mars.
It's ruled by Mars. The holy name of Tuesday, Martes in Spanish, is Zamael. Wednesday is the fourth day of the week. It's ruled by Mercury.
Raphael.
The holy name of Wednesday, Miércoles in Spanish, is Rafael. Thursday, the fifth day of the week, is ruled by Jupiter. The holy name of Thursday is Jueves in Spanish, is Sacael. Friday is the sixth day of the week, is ruled by Venus.
Anael.
The holy name of Friday, Viernes in Spanish, is Anael. Saturday is the seventh day of the week, is ruled by Saturn. The holy name of Saturn, Sábado in Spanish, It's Kasai. How come nobody never told y'all that? Church, Milana Karanga, any of your other teachers.
Because it does what he said that he was doing. It takes them back to their culture, which is all he needed to do was tell the truth if he really was taking them back to the culture.
These are the leaders, y'all. Milana Karanga, Sigal Sharpton, like my man said earlier. Jesse Jackson.
They ran them out of Ferguson,
All
didn't
of these guys.
That was amazing.
That was funny. Ran him out of Ferguson,
Know
yeah.
what you around, you and Jesse.
What, when they get out of
Yeah,
here?
did y'all see the Jesse Jackson video?
Yeah.
He was up at McDonald's
He's
or
like
something.
sitting in the car,
Yeah,
and
in
the
the car,
video,
yeah.
his brother
Yeah.
ran up on him, an older guy too. He ran up
He was-
on him like, yo, we don't want you here.
He said, what you doing down here,
You don't
Jesse?
got nothing to do with us.
I'm out
You're
here.
gonna stop our movement. You're gonna take money and he rolled his window up and everything.
Ran in, and
You had no choice
both
but
of
to
them
leave.
ran them out of town.
Yeah. Snitches get stitches.
Well, see, I think
He
the
didn't
family,
The pink house in Manhattan did.
the Rice family, yeah, the family in New York and the family in Ohio said that they don't want Sharpton there.
Yeah.
People wake up to that.
All we
What
gonna do is
was-
go back
it
to the
was-
UN and say, I'm black, I
Jesse
need help.
Jackson. I saw
And
in
the
the car.
UN gonna say, well, where's your flag?
I heard he a regular sound wave, Al Sharpton. He'll come in here and he a walking tape recorder. You can't see anything. around that
On
dude.
December 25th, you get the resurrection.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about the sun rising 1 degree to the north every day until it reaches its highest point of elevation, right? Well, when is the resurrection that they tell us about?
Jesus.
Easter.
Easter
When is
and
it?
all that.
Easter.
It's star.
Anybody know when Easter is?
It's supposed to be in March.
March something.
New Year's.
For the
It's
equinox.
supposed to be in March.
Spring.
In March and April.
Something with the
It's supposed to be in March or April, one or the other, right?
No,
March
like the-
21st.
The
But-
end, the end of the.
It's either in March or it's in April,
That's
right?
actually the New Year's.
Yes.
It's 40 days after Mardi Gras.
So March or April,
40 days after
40 days after Mardi Gras, huh?
That's the perfect way to remember it.
Y'all
That's true.
don't think it's strange that sometimes Easter is in March and sometimes Easter is in April?
It's based on
Yeah.
where the sun is, right?
It's astrological, just like all the rest of it is.
Yes, it's true.
But if you look up, you can look up Easter Sunday for 2/15, and you'll find out when it is,
Yeah.
right? And then you can look up Sunday 3015, and you'll find out when it is, and 4015,
That's another thing.
and you'll find out when it is.
Mm-hmm.
The spring equinox is when?
21st.
21st. The first full moon after the equinox, well, after the first full moon, so that's March 21st, then you get a full moon after the equinox, right? After that full moon, very first Sunday, marks Easter every year. That's why the date changes from March to April. Because after the spring equinox, the first full moon happens, and then the very first Sunday after that is Easter. Now, they told you that my man was resurrected. That's what you celebrate, the resurrection of Jesus Christ, right? So how he was resurrected in March and April? So it don't make sense. It don't make sense. But if you don't dig into it, or if you don't even question it, you'll just accept it and you'll keep on buying yourself a nice new outfit every Easter. Not realizing that this year it's in April and last year was in March and you don't even know why. That's why, because it's astrological. See how they take your science and they just do what they want with it and play with it the whole nine. Even January 1st. Now, 1,000 times everybody inside this class today has said that New Year is in March, right?
No, it ain't.
When is it? Who said no it ain't?
I did.
When is it?
March 21st.
What you said is in March.
Huh?
It's in March.
Oh, I apologize. I
You
apologize.
said
He
it.
was ready.
That's right.
So you got New Year's in March, but why January 1st?
It's a Gregorian calendar. It coincides with the.
No such calendar.
Oh, it was something.
Go by the
It was
calendar,
such
go by
calendar.
go by
It
the
was something
council.
they was doing. Damn.
What happens astrologically on January 1st? No, the sun already came back on the 25th. Dooley, what happens on January 1st?
January 1st is Sirius. Sirius is the dog star, is the highest point in the sky. And can be seen in most parts of the world. It's when Sirius is in the midheaven. That's what happens on January 1st.
Sirius is conjunct in midheaven on January 1st. On that night, now do this. Write down Sirius. Write down Sirius. S-I-R-U-S. Conjunct. Write down Sirius conjunct. And then find out all the things that happen
During that cycle.
when Sirius is conjunct something. But when Sirius is conjunct in midheaven, for this so-called government, that's supposed to be empowering for them. On that particular day, on January 1st, when Sirius is in the midheaven, when it's conjunct in midheaven, that's a powerful day for them and the so-called corporate government. But just type in Sirius conjunct, and then see what happens when Sirius is conjunct Mars, what they think is going to happen. See what happens when Sirius is conjunct this, what they think is going to happen. See when Sirius is conjunct that, what they think is going to happen.
January 20th.
January 20th, they inaugurate the president.
Yep.
Every January, that's always the inauguration day. They don't do anything. It was Teddy Roosevelt that said nothing in politics happens by accident.
You got that twice.
Nothing happens by accident. Sirius, the dog star, is in Canis Major. About to draw a dog. I don't hear nobody's mouth. Hey, listen. That's a dog. That's a dog. Now, listen. That's a dog. All right?
He ain't eaten a long time.
He ain't ate a long time. It's a greyhound.
That looks like some dogs that be in the caves, the hunter-gatherer style.
It's a greyhound. Say let's go help him.
Well, they have hunter-gatherer art.
So astrologically, you got I forget how many stars in the constellation, but you got a constellation of stars. And if they drew a picture around them, then it would make a dog, right? So Sirius is actually right here. Will be in the throat of the dog.
Yeah.
Or I guess we can say that Sirius will be the throat chakra.
All right.
Now, I want y'all to understand something. Just because Sirius Radio uses a dog with a star in his eye, same as the dog star, same Sirius is the dog star. Just because they use a dog with a star in his eye don't mean that it was them that created that.
Nope.
Go back into your ancient, I was ready to say shit. I said it. Go back into,
Okay.
Good.
on July 4th, you got what's called the heliacal rising of Sirius, meaning Sirius and the sun rises at the same time. But in the United States, July 4th marks what? Independence. So whenever you feel like it, go onto the internet or go and check out some other calendars and find out how many other nations celebrate their independence on July 4th. You said none? Oh no, there's a gang on it. Go look. Go look. So how is it that everybody got free from Britain on July 4th?
Exactly like
Or is that got something to do with something else?
You got that right twice.
Anybody know what happened anywhere around July 5th through the 7th in Kemet, in Egypt? You got the inundation of the Nile. Flooded. When the flood recedes, see, that's their new year. Back in Kemet, that was their new year. When they got the inundation, when the river flooded, when it receded, the ground was so fertile that they said that they could just throw seeds on the ground and the crops would grow. So that was their new year. That was the coming of life, the return of life for them, the return of crops, the return of life. All of this stuff astrologically, and they giving it to you, and I'm trying not to curse, but they giving it to you in BS.
Bieski
But,
door.
well, you know, Bieski door, I don't want to steal Taj word, that's not Bieski door, but, you know, they give you all of this stuff. And nobody says, you know what, let me dig a little deeper. January 1st, July 4th, all around Sirius. But like I said, if you just type in Sirius conjunct, you'll find out everything that they love about the star Sirius. They love your sciences. They love astronomy. They love astrology. They love it. And they told you to run away from it in the Bible. Because they know if you go into that Bible, you're going to break down the story of Jesus. Astrologically every 21st, every December 21st.
Yep.
They know if you go into that Bible, I mean, if you go into astrology, you're going to start to pick apart a whole lot that they do. Like Teddy Roosevelt said, nothing in politics happens by accident. Nothing on this planet happens by accident, really.
That's right. Law governs all events.
Any questions about anything? Let's talk about our boy Jesus for a second. Since Jesus surrounds the solstice. Right here on this piece of paper I got, it says circa 1 ACE for his birth. ACE stands for what? After Christ? Does ACE stand for after Christ?
After Christian.
BC before? Huh?
After Christian.
After the Common Era.
Oh,
BCE before the Common Era.
all right.
Well, if you look at it etymologically, it can't stand for after Christ because the word is over 10,000 years old. I mean, the word's not 2,000 years old, it's 10,000 years old. It can't stand for that.
It said Jesus had two mothers. Mary, huh? It says Jesus had two mothers, Mary the Virgin, who conceived him, and Mary, the wife of Cleophas, who brought him forth as one of her 5 children. Jesus remained with his mother, the Virgin, up until the age of 12 years old, when he left her to be about his father's business. From 12 to 30, there is no record of the life of Jesus. Jesus, at 30 years of age, who was made a man in his baptism by John the Baptist. Jesus in his baptism is held from heaven as the beloved Son and only begotten of the Father God, the Holy Spirit represented by a dove. That's what they told us about Jesus, right? And that was in 1 ACE. Now, in 3200 BCE, before that Common Era, there was the story of Heru. Heru had 2 mothers, Isis the Virgin who conceived him, Nephthys who nursed him. He was brought forth singly as one of 5 brothers. Horus was with his mother the Virgin until 12 years old, when he was transformed into the beloved Son of God as the only begotten of the Father in heaven. From 12 to 30 years of age, there is no record of the life of Heru. Heru at 30 years of age, and forgive me if I said Horus, it says Horus on the paper, I don't like to use the Greek terms. I like to use the actual terms, right? Heru. Heru at 30 years of age became an adult in his baptism by Anu. Horus in his baptism made his transformation into the beloved Son and only begotten of the Father, the Holy Spirit represented by a bird. Now that's the story Jesus told 3,200 years before Jesus. In 3000 BCE, I'm sorry, in 1200 BCE, you had Mithra of Persia. 900 BCE, you had Krishna of India.
Same but low.
500 BCE, you had Dionysus of Greece. all of these with the same story, with the same virgin birth, the same two mother, the same disappearing at age 12. What the hell was going on from 12 to 30?
Can we get them for plagiarism?
You're talking about, as a matter of fact, in the Bible, as she has the Bible, as they close out the book of Malachi for the Old Testament, you have 4 chapters that represent the 4 gates of the circle 7. And then it tells you the Son of Righteousness arises with healing in his wings, and then it gives you the Cobbalistic code, and it spells Son, S-U-N.
You're absolutely right.
Yep.
It does close out saying that's yeah.
Yep.
Where's that at?
At the, what's that? The end of Malachi?
No,
Yeah, Malachi,
I think it says Nahum.
Malachi,
Malachi.
Yeah.
End
End of Malachi.
Malachi.
Haru had a crown of thorns.
What about the crown of thorns?
I said Haru had a crown of thorns at his death also. So-called death.
It's a book called The 16 Crucified Saviors. It's actually more than 16, but that's what the book is about, 16 Crucified Saviors.
Yeah.
Pick it up and read it.
Give
And
you
you'll find the story of Jesus over and over and over and over. Our people won't examine that. If you tell our people that that story existed before Jesus, they cut your throat.
You know
They
it.
be ready to knock you over the head because they indoctrinated. If you try to tell people that the winter solstice it represents the story of the boy in the manger, the baby in the manger, they'll cut your throat. They won't even examine it. They won't even examine it. The 3 kings follow the star of the east to witness the birth of the sun. If you look at it astrologically, it's right there. It happens every year. You can't change it and you can't stop it.
I'll get you some ribbons.
The same people that gave it to you, they don't even go for it. They ain't even falling for it. But you got an ancient culture, an ancient history that's second to none.
What I find to be effective, dealing with hundreds of people, is that take the name Jesus back.
Take it away from them.
What happens is that we are dissing the name Jesus. You got to take the name Jesus to its origin. I mean, don't give them the name Jesus. That's the first mistake when you start off on the door. All right, don't give them the name Jesus. All right, so the name Jesus goes back to the Phoenician, the IA. It has it's called a 2 consonant. You have the Babylonian, which is IO. So you know that has more ancient form. Then the Europeans they transliterated the name, the IE, the IEO, the IEOS, to JESUS. So the name Jesus belongs to you. The Europeans don't make names up; they transliterate names.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't make names up. It's called transliteration. That's the name. That's the term you use. Transliterating from, cross the letter from the ancient language. So you got the first thing is to take the name Jesus back, and the name Christ back from it, because that's Krishna. So that's how you become more effective. That's for my dealing with a lot of people. Even when I did the Illuminati piece, I got Masons in St. Louis and Cleveland. Brother in Cleveland called me, wants me to speak. He was a bandmaster, wants me in Cleveland. And Taj and I are going to St. Louis to speak to hundreds of Masons, these are stars. Because I'm placing the words in this ancient cultural context. Aryan, whatever. Take the names back.
Allowing them to read.
Even God.
Take it from them.
God too. Take the name God back too.
Y'all can't have God either.
Buddha. Take that back too.
So you're saying that in these Masons, they don't know any of this?
No.
They want you there.
No.
These people have never taught them that.
No.
So that's a big thing that they should want you. You know what I mean?
I spoke at the King Solomon Grand Lodge on July 13, 2013. And I got that tape going all over the country. And that's the King Solomon Grand Lodge in DC. and Nubi, the Grand Master, invited me. And Brother Fahim in St. Louis, when he saw it, he said, "Brother, that's a power move you made. You had a Grand Master inviting you to his lodge. Brother, do you know that's a power move?" Me, I'm like, all right. I mean, he was like, "That's a power move, brother. You made a powerful move, bro."
Yeah, I ain't saying much for him, but yeah, all right.
We'll get an apron too.
I just got a hold of the Elijah's Bible. So I'm reading Malachi 4 for you. It says, "For, behold, the day cometh, that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch." When I used to go to football practice as a child, I used to walk past a flower pot. And it took me about 2 years of walking past it to figure out what the flower pot meant. It said, "Once was water, next time fire." And I was a child, and I'm sitting there, and I'm walking past it, and I'm looking at it on the way to football practice, on the way to baseball practice. And it took me a while to figure it out. So the first time was a flood. Everybody know about the Great Flood. And they say from the Biblios, Heliotech, and from everything else, they say the next time will be fire. And that's what you read right here. But it took me a little while as a child. I was able to put that together. "But unto that fear my name shall the Son of righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and yea, shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall." That's 4:2.
Spell son.
I will. It's chapter 4, verse 2. Malachi. "But unto you that fear my name shall the Son, capital S-U-N, of righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and yea, shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall. And ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith the Lord of hosts. Remember ye that the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes of judgments. Behold, I will send you Elijah, the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse."
Now, you want to look at that? Now, for us to cure, we got to turn our hearts back to our mothers and fathers. See what the code with Raleigh says, go back to the state of mind of your ancient mothers and fathers.
That's what I'm sitting here thinking, because I'm sitting here and it's almost like I'm rereading the prophet's work. See, people talk about the prophet Jesus. They talk about the prophet Muhammad. They even pay homage to Nostradamus as a prophet. But nobody don't pay no homage to Prophet Noble Ali. And this is a man that we know lived. We ain't trying to figure out if he did. We ain't trying to piece together what he might have looked like. We know. But they're overlooking him, and they over-ignoring him, and they're ignoring him, and they disregarding him. And it's not so much for us to worship Prophet Noble Ali like they worship Jesus. No, it's for us to honor the work that he brought. It's for us to respect it and to build upon it. But they ain't going to tell you about, I'm going to Candyland in a month. And I'm going to speak on Noble Ali Day. And I'm going to speak about the assassination of the movement and the assassination of the prophet. They ain't assassinated the movement of Jesus. Jesus has been kicking our asses. I seen a post one day that said, and forgive me, man, the baby's in the back, forgive me for my language. It said, which was worse in our community, Jesus or crack? And without a doubt, it was the image that they gave us. Crack just showed up about, what, 30-some years ago?
That image been kicking butt for centuries.
We've been getting knocked in the head by the mythical character that they created in 325 AD for a very long time. For a very long time. You can go back and you can review all the councils that they had. Council of Nicaea, Council of Chalcedon, Council of Ephesus, and it's one more, it's a fourth one. I can't think of it right now, it escapes me. But go back and look at how they put Jesus together. And every time it was the guy named Aramis that showed up to the priest and said, whoa, y'all lying. Like, hold up, how all of a sudden this is the way we got to worship when just 20 years ago that didn't even exist. There was a brother named Aramis that ran up to all these Catholic priests at the Council of Nicaea and came down on them. We don't have no problem researching and checking out everything else. We won't even research our own culture. We won't even research our own history. And it's beautiful. They love it. They live by it. They run the world with your science. They run the world with Islam. And they keeping you away from it.
Yep.
They got you thinking Islam is a doctrine. They don't want you to learn yourself. They don't want you to master yourself. Once you master yourself, it's over for them, and they know it.
You got that right.
They know it. Christmas, Yuletide, Saturnalia, Kwanzaa, all of them. Examine it for what it is. And then look past it and celebrate what you should be celebrating. It's a festive time of year. It always had been for your ancestors.
Yep.
I ain't saying break the bank and go out there and buy 1,000,001 Christmas presents. Well, I guess for Kwanzaa, I think you were supposed to make gifts and give them to each other. But don't not celebrate it. Because I think a few of us made that mistake, saying I'm not going to celebrate Christmas anymore.
That's your holiday.
You don't have to celebrate the birth of Jesus, but celebrate the birth of the Son. Because the Son is now reborn, and now the days are going to get longer. I just showed it to you. On this day, you're going to have 1 second more of daylight than the day before. And in a little while, the trees are going to start to bloom again, the grass is going to start to grow. So you got the celebration of life. So don't be afraid to examine and celebrate your ancient sciences and your ancient culture, because it's there and it's beautiful.
That's right.
Don't be afraid to look past the nonsense that they placed in front of you and put it to the side. Don't be afraid to tell people, well, obviously Rick ain't afraid. He told that lady Jesus ain't exist when they came, because he ran her wrong. Don't be afraid to tell people.
Ready to stomp on your foot, huh?
Yeah, don't be afraid to tell people what it is.
It's going to be trash all in here.
Oh, yeah. He got us on the sugar list. Thanks, Rick. But listen, I got all this literature up here. It was really too much for me to print. So I take everybody's email address, I'll scan it and email it to you all so you all got it. Any questions? Yes?
I just sort of have a statement. You were saying that, Drew Ali is not recognized as a prophet. He's not recognized here because all the world knows about Noble Drew Ali because, the acknowledgement of, what was it, 26 when he was down at or 28 at in Cuba, Hey, the mandate is given. Everybody that was there said, "Oh, Drew Ali, all right."
The problem with that is that we domicile in the United States, and that they're going to keep that door shut. It's up to us. It's up to us to turn the knob, open it, and walk through that door, and examine Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because they're going to keep it from us. They're going to continuously tell us about Jesus the prophet, Muhammad the prophet, and like I said, they'll even give you Nostradamus. And tell you everything that Nostradamus has said is going to happen is happening. Yeah, whatever. Well, the prophet came to help you redeem yourself, to uplift all of humanity, to help you uplift your woman. You uplift the woman, you uplift the children. She going to do it naturally in some maternal instinct.
Yep.
In some maternal instinct, she can't help it.
Can't help it. Girl can't help it.
Any more questions?
Good too.
Good question.
Where's Candyland? Candyland is what they call Canada.
Quick question, since you just said that, who are the original inhabitants of the Palestinians?
Palestine?
Yes, the ancient.
Look in the mirror.
I know.
Where do them folks that's there come from? They're not from there.
They call Ashkenazi. The so-called Jews, the Germanic people.
Yeah, but I was just watching a little documentary, you know, what the Ashkenazis are doing to those Europeanized Palestinians, and then I've seen a video of the Moorish Palestinians that's been there forever, and they were talking about the prejudice that's going on with them, with the so-called people of Palestine.
You're going to go and see now. If you leave Palestine, right, and you go to any other nation over there in what they call the middle of the East, you're going to run into that same paradigm.
Yep.
And when you come over to this land, to Africa in the West, and you go down to Southwest Africa, you're going to run into the same paradigm. The darker you are, the more prejudice you're going to face. That's everywhere. When you, I mean, take for example, like we talked about Brazil. Brazil got more dark-skinned people than any place on the planet rather than Africa in the East. But when you see Brazil on TV, you see you see highly light-skinned people. You don't see people that look like you in Brazil. And when they talk about the Colombian drug trade, when you see Pablo Escobar look like H-Bay. But all his goons look like me. You're talking about Colombia. You're talking about Peru. So Palestine, Peru, however, wherever you want to go, they're going to face the same thing. And they got them Ashkenazi, the Germanic people, breathing down their necks in Palestine, in Peru, in Bogota, in the United States. So if you ask who were the original Persians, look in the mirror. If you ask who are the original people, look in the mirror. You encompass the whole globe. You know how they say there's nothing new under the sun? Well, there ain't no place new to you under the sun.
Is that right?
Any more questions? Cool, I guess we can wrap it up then. I trust that I left y'all with some more information y'all can use. And as always, I love y'all. I'll see y'all on the 3rd of January. Peace and love. It's on.
Right. Thank you.